The restream server had a bit of a nightmare then when it was sending out the signal. So we're going to run this all by you again, which Jack is going to be very, very grateful for. Welcome to Silverstone and welcome to Sim Racers World TV. We're here for the PorscheSport 2 hours of Silverstone with by PorscheSport and Sim Racers World, of course, sponsored by Strasser. And you're joined by me, Chaz Draycott, and Jack Werrell on the comms tonight. Really looking forward to a very mixed bag of results between these guys. There's going to be a lot of battles out on track, but yeah, sorry about that. We had a bit of an issue with the server at our side, but fingers crossed we're all good now. You know what technical issues can be like. It's not something that we see sort of dotted few and far between in sim racing, is it, Jack? Let's face it.
No, the trouble is iRacing is such an inclusive service. You've got drivers from all around the globe, and we've got like a range of nationalities out today, which is great to see, but it does put a little bit of strain on obviously the service itself and sort of on our side, because we've got to make sure we're connected to the session, we've got everything working. And yes, it is a common thing, but it wouldn't be sim racing without it. If you get away with it without any issues, there's no stress there, and it's almost part of the realism, having stress and starting to have sort of technical difficulties. So yeah, they're annoying, but it really does make it what it is. And as long as we get out and we provide a good show, there's nothing much else we can do.
Well, exactly, and we're just looking at the G-Drive number 31 car at the moment of Martin van Loozenord. Now, Martin is a very, very quick sim racer, no matter what you put this guy in. So we're going to see a lot of good things from him tonight. And of course, his teammate, it's Jo van Uyter, is that how you say it, Jack? I know you nailed his pronunciation of his name a few weeks ago, and I
but I can't remember where I put the piece of paper that said his name in it. I think it's Job van Oert.
Okay.
But I think that's about as close as I can get. I do tend to struggle with pronunciations. I do try my best to get them as close as they can, but at the end of the day, I've started to sort of, if you pronounce it wrong, just forget about it, get on with it, and get back to the racing, which is what everybody wants to see. And I think at the moment, all I want to see is this LMP1 car throwing it through Maggotts and Beckett's, and then through Chapel onto the hangar straight. The speed and the acceleration, we've said it and seen it at Le Mans, but I don't know what to say. It just loses my words. Like I literally don't know what to say. They're crazy pieces of kit.
Yeah, they really are. They really do fly. And something that he just flew past there was PJ Clayson's, not that PJ's an object, I more meant the car, for the Meraki Racing 27 Porsche 991 RSR. Beautiful looking car, and it's the debut of that livery this evening. I actually made the release video for it just a couple of weeks ago and got it released during the week, and it's a banging bit of kit. And I tell you what, one of the best things about it, Jack, as you know, is the noise, isn't it? So what do you reckon we go on board?
100%. I drove that exact car at Daytona for the 24 hours, and oh my god, I could listen to it all day. The screaming of, I think it's a flat 6, isn't it, or a flat 4? I can't remember. But
flat
it's
6.
Flat 6, yeah. It's a crazy noise that comes from that engine, and I can't get over it. I want to listen to it more and more.
Well, we'll go on board, shall we? So everybody can hear it. Good to see everybody in the YouTube chat. Half the race gone says hello to both of us, Jack. He was joining us at Le Mans with the Murray Walker quotes and their livery, and of course we love to see it, but listen to this Porsche really screaming as they go down the old pit straight. What a noise. And obviously that new exhaust that they put on during the sort of warm-up to Le Mans a couple of years ago was what made this exhaust so famous, really. Everybody was expecting the Porsche to turn up and sound good, and then they strapped that thing on it, and it just sounds insane, doesn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. It's up there with sort of the Mazda 787B rotary engine. It's just a crazy, crazy noise, and it's like, if you think about it, if you were to take away that noise, motorsport would be, I don't think it'd be what it would be. I mean, half of it is seeing the cars whiz by at stupid speeds, but motorsport without sound, it would just be boring.
Oh, definitely, mate. At the same time, talking about the Formula E side of things, I do quite enjoy watching a bit of Formula E. There's some good battles and stuff, but no matter what you do, you can't always replace the noise, unfortunately. We're going to have a quick look now. You'll probably see on the left-hand side of your screen, by the way, we do have the different class types. We've got LMP1, GTE, GTC and GT4, which I've very tactically put in orange text, so you can't quite see it at the top. My apologies there. But they are the 4 classes tonight, and you'll see them on the left-hand side on the little strips next to the position numbers, which show which class the cars are in. And you'll see here that Adam Delmont, the cheeky little fellow that he is showing up in a GTE car in the GTC class. So I may have got something mixed up at this end here, because I know that Jack and I got very excited earlier that he'd gone faster than some of the GT cars, didn't we? But it seems that's definitely not the case now. We've got that confirmed.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether this is just on my screen, because the Meraki livery earlier, as beautiful as the new Meraki livery is, for some reason I'm seeing the old Meraki livery, and this Excite car is looking very plain. It has no number boards or anything like that, so I think a little restart of my my trading paints might be in order, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter what it looks like. As long as that Porsche is screaming away, you're never going to be bored.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And the Excite boys are going to be looking for a good result tonight. These guys know what they're doing when it comes to the GTE cars. They've all got a lot of experience in them. Currently at the top of the class, though, we have Felix Luding for Sim RC Titan in a very bright yellow and black machine. And I tell you what, we're not going to miss that very easily. Bram Van Putten is in G-Drive in the GTE car. So those guys not having they had two cars out at Le Mans. One was an LMP1, the other was an LMP2. And now this time, of course, with no LMP2s available, they're in the RSR and the GTE class, in the number 1 car as well. So they're obviously hoping for big things. We actually only have one GTC car out on track at the moment, and that's Glenn Van Parry in the DXX Pro Assist machine. These Cup cars are quite the handful, aren't they, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. The new tyre model obviously helps that in a way, I guess. They are very rewarding to drive. I've done a bit of offline testing in them, and they are a really, really rewarding car to drive when you get it right. But if you get it wrong, there is no margin for error at all. If you maybe I suppose you can't even trail brake, because the car just unbalances itself all the way, and with it being sort of mid-engine, it's all the weight is over the rear axle, so either when you're accelerating or you're braking, it's always on the edge, which it's a good challenge. It's great to see a proper challenging car out there, and it sort of weeds the men from the boys, but it's probably not everybody's first choice in terms of Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a driver's car. Wow, look at the LMP1 flies past, weaving down the straight there. It is a driver's car, as people do say about driving real Porsches, of course. They are a heck of a lot of fun, with the engine being so far back, you know, no real weight over the front of the car, so it doesn't have to drag a big hefty engine around. They just have the balance right, and everyone does say, oh, Porsches always look the same, but there's a reason for that, and it's similar to what you see in a lot of other industries where, you know, someone gets something right first time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. There's some of the screenshots that the iRacing community produced, specifically with this Porsche, I've noticed. It looks so close to reals, I even get confused, like, whether it's real or not. It was on, for example, the PorscheSport website. They've posted a couple of photos, and I'm thinking, I can't tell the difference, because the cars just look so good, and clearly the graphics are just turned up to max, and obviously that's helped by the iRacing service itself. It's crazy, and if Porsche keep on going with what they're doing in terms of, obviously this GT3 Cup car isn't exactly old, but for the newer one that's supposedly in development, I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Yeah, fingers crossed it looks as good as this one does. Just looking now into GT4, here is Ollie Slade in the Fiercely Forward car. Of course, teammate of yours, Jack, the yellow one there. Louis Hanke is going to be driving, I believe, is he in the orange one? You know a bit more about this than I do.
He is the Belgian driver. There was a bit of talk in the Discord about it, but it's great to see sort of a bit of diversity in the livery. I know some teams obviously go with for example, Excite, they go with like a cherry colour, so there's a cherry and gold one, isn't there, a purple or a green one or something like that?
Yeah.
And it's nice to see a real variety of cars, and I think Fiercely Forward have got it right, because you'll never miss their cars. If they're not using bright yellow, they're using bright orange.
Yeah, they definitely are. We have that is one of the other G-Drive cars there, right behind Ollie Slade, putting a bit of pressure on him. And that is Mr. Jensen, Mikkel Jensen, the Danish driver. 9th place overall at the moment, 3rd in class though. So they're right up there. And there's not really that many cars out on track now. We have a couple of real drivers in there tonight. Martin Plowman is in the GT4 class for Paddock Motorsport and Fury Simsport. And as you see the cars disappear now, that is the end of practice. So we're going to get right into this, and we're going to see qualifying very, very shortly. The cars will pop out and dance around on track as quickly as they can. Bram van Putten here for GTE class for G-Drive. Will be one of the first cars out of the pit lane, I believe. I think there's a couple of others just in front. Who was that coming out? Josh Cam here for Strasser Motorsport. Of course, Strasser, the race sponsor this evening. Thank you very much to them. I've been communicating with Lindsay Dobby of Strasser with getting everything sorted for this. And of course, thank you to the man himself, Luke Holroyd. And he actually does have his dad on standby for us, the director of PorscheSport. So we're going to try and see if we can have a word with him in just a minute. But we've got some very, very big names out there tonight, Jack. I mean, we've got the likes of Esme Hawkey as well. Of course, drives the Porsche in real life. And, oh, don't forget, I do have to be slightly biased on this, but Pete Harrod of CQR Club in the LMP1, he was invited to this event after winning the Sim Racers World 2.4 Hours of Le Mans single-handedly a few weeks ago. So what are we expecting from him tonight?
I'm expecting much of the same. He has got, once again, 2 G-Drive LMP1 machines to contend with, as well as obviously the firstly forward LMP1 car. Only Alessio Lane is driving it this week. He doesn't have the assistance of Ollie Slade, but obviously it's only a 2-hour race. So it's going to be a stretch, but I think Pete Harrod will once again be up on the podium, if not on the top step.
Well, fingers crossed he can be. Of course, slight bias on my part. We will bring in Paul Holroyd now, though, just to have a quick word. Paul, are you there, mate?
I'm here, yeah. Good evening, gents. How are we doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you, Paul. Very good. Are you excited for this one, mate?
I'm very excited. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a new venture for us. You know, the sim racing world, but we're looking very, very forward to this. Yeah, it should be a very, very exciting race. You know, we've got a fantastic grid out there. Some, like you say, some great names, both from the sim world and from the actual racing world itself. So it makes an exciting race.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, taking it around Silverstone, an absolutely classic circuit and one that's become more and more popular in recent years with endurance racing. Especially after the big sort of refurb they did. In terms of these cars going around here tonight, if you had to choose one of them, which one would it be that you'd be in?
It's got to be my favourite, to be honest. It'd be the RSR. Yeah. every day of the week, yeah, be in the RSR. Although I would like to, drive the LMP1 round here, but yeah, I'd say the RSR is my favourite car.
Is that just because of the noise or how it looks, you reckon? Or maybe how it drives?
A bit of both, to be honest, yeah. A bit of both. I mean, I've always been a fan of the 911, the bed plate of that. So that's why I like the RSR. And it just looks awesome, doesn't it, the RSR?
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's, especially in the new one, it's so squat and wide and stuff. It looks mean. It looks the part, doesn't it, to be honest with you? So, and especially going down the Silverstone circuit, it should be great. I mean, that's one of the other reasons we picked the Silverstone circuit as well, is because obviously there's such a mix of classes in there. We needed a track that was going to be good for overtaking. There's loads of tracks we could have picked, but we wanted something that was nice and wide and run off. So, it makes it entertaining for the fans as well to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It certainly is a good combination. In terms of the organisation of this event, then I imagine it's been quite an exciting time for you guys. What's been the overall highlight that you reckon so far that you've got planned, or that that you had while planning it?
Like I say, it's a new venture. This may lead to other things. We don't know yet. This is an experiment for us, really. But it's been really exciting to get involved. But I must say that our PR manager Luke, he's done all the hard work on this. I know he's had a stressful week getting this organised. We thought, this might be easy to do, but it's not, and we understand what you guys have to do as well. It's not easy to set these events up. It's probably harder than the rail thing, to be honest with you. But yeah, all the credit must go to Luke. He's done a fantastic job. Luke's just recently come on board with us this year with PorscheSport. We've taken him on as the PR manager, and he's looking after that and the media. And it was his idea, to run with this. And we basically give him a free rein and said, yeah, you go with wherever you want to go. We'll back you all the way. And this is one of his first ventures he wanted to do, and it's proven to be so far a huge success.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jack will confirm as well. We've had a lot of people asking us about it, and saying they're excited for it, haven't we, mate? It's been a great build-up.
Yeah, definitely not just them being excited. I've been excited for it since I heard about it. So it's great that this has been put forward and it's taking place. And hopefully, like you said, Paul, it could be the start of some more bigger future events.
Yeah, I mean, we've also talked maybe, like I say, it's just talking at the moment of this, but we maybe even sort of like thinking about running an actual championship. But that's obviously watch this space, see what happens.
Well, fingers crossed we see more from that in the future. Just before we let you go, though, Paul, any final words from you, mate? We'll probably drag you in a bit later on as well, but just while we get on with quali.
Yeah, just let's we have a nice clean race as far as we can go. You know, there is going to be one or two a bit badger and elbows shoved out, I would imagine. Everybody wants to be competitive, but it should be an exciting race. And I'd just like to say, you know, thanks for everybody for making this happen. You guys, again, Luke, our event sponsor, Strasser, who also helped with this. And also James Roberts, who's the photographer who's going to be doing some photos after the event as well. So, shout out to all them guys.
Cracking stuff. Well, good to speak to you, Paul. Enjoy the race, mate, and we may speak to you a bit later on, buddy.
No, great. No problem. See you. Thank you.
Paul Horwood there of PorscheSport. Great sounding guy. He's surely enthusiastic about it, isn't he, Jack? It's good to get, you know, there's a bit of footage for you as your teammate Ollie Slade goes into the wall. To make up for that, Alexi Lane's gone fastest, by the way. It's good to sort of make the jump with a lot of people that do this in real life, and you know they have a lot of involvement in the real life side of things, and really show them the best side that we can of sim racing, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose sim racing. Some people might not know how big the community is. It's not just on iRacing, but you've got so many other titles which have the crowd and well, a lot of them. I know there's a couple of games which are even crowd-funded, which is great to see, and it's I suppose an eye-opener for some people to see what the turnout is. And as soon as this was announced, well, I sort of knew the numbers that we were getting, but I never sort of pitched it in my mind that we would have a huge grid spread out of 4 classes, and it's not like the speed difference between a GT4 and an LMP1 is crazy. You'd never put them together, but they've made it work, and it's nice to see that, yeah, there's people coming from maybe just a sim racing background and obviously the real life racing background. It's just great to see that everybody's come together and they're making the most of sim racing.
Yeah, certainly it's going to be good fun. Chris Moretta says hello in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Thank you everybody that is in the YouTube channel so far. Across the YouTube and Facebook, we're getting around 90 views at the moment, so welcome everybody. We have quite a long qualifying session ahead of us, but it gives us plenty of time to get used to the cars that we're seeing on track and see just what action we have lined up. We're just looking at Maxime Ramstein at the moment as one of the Excite cars goes past. That's Adam Delmont in the number 58 Porsche to the end of the straight, and apparently Luding is off the track, Felix Luding, but they are top at the moment here, Jack, and they were top in practice as well. Sim RC DE Titan maybe going to be a runaway winner here. I mean, they're only 0.3 of a second faster than G-Drive, but it's looking like a good one for them so far.
Yeah, definitely. I think on paper at the moment they are the quickest, and if it was a sprint race, I'm sure they would be at the pointy end of the field. But it is an endurance race, and a lot can happen. And obviously strategy will play a part, because you won't be able to run 2 hours on one tank and one set of tyres. So it's definitely going to be about strategy and how you can manage fuel and tyres. Is it worth backing off a little bit and then maybe getting another lap out of all your consumables? But I think, yeah, they will be at the pointy end of the field, but it's where they will be once everything's said and done. Pit stops, fuels, tyres, driver changes possibly. There's nothing really we can predict at the moment. As long as everybody keeps it on the road, it's all to play for.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be amazing to watch, and I think traffic as well, as we saw in the Le Mans race. It's going to be quite scary for some of these guys, especially like saying the GTC and the GT4 class. I mean, we'll see here just the speed difference as we're on board with Tom Metherell in the GTC car. Look at the difference in the GT4 there. That was, I believe it was Martin Plowman. It was. Look at the GTC car get away. I mean, Martin may have lifted a little bit, but yeah, he is lifting. It's still quite a mad difference between the two. We've got Esme Hawkey here racing, apparently as a privateer for this one, in this event, in the number 03 car, 8th in class at the moment. Maybe just still getting used to iRacing, maybe just a bit of an outlap. What do you reckon?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. She was quickest in practice by around 0.2 of a second, which isn't a massive margin on such a big circuit like this. 0.2 of a second can be more easily lost than found. So it's, yeah, I reckon she'll be once again at the point end of the GTC field. But it's only the start of qualifying, and with still 30 minutes to go, or best part of, there's just going to be so much change. So at the moment, yes, obviously we've got Martin van Loosnord on pole position with a 1:39.11. I'm guessing he won't stay there for long, and then he might get back there, and it's just going to be keep on swapping from pole position to second to third, back up to pole. Maybe it's like I reckon the timing screens will just be started to, like, they'll light up like Christmas towards the last part of the session.
Well, fingers crossed we see that. Tito Granher is on screen here in the number 46 Banzu RX Flow LMP1 car. Now, Tito is quite a fan of mine, it seems, from some of the Sim Racers World broadcasts that I do. Great guy, really good laugh, and he loves supporting the championships that he takes part in, and he is currently flying into Maggots and Beckett's in this LMP1 car. The speed around there is just mind-boggling, and they're going to have to be very careful around there tonight. And someone's saying, are you sure you don't have enough classes tonight? You don't want to throw in some MX-5s as well? Now, I think the MX-5 would be too much of a speed difference, Jack. What do you reckon?
Well, if you think about it, the closing speed between an LMP1 and a GT4 is absolutely crazy. So surely the closing speed between a GT4 and an MX-5 can't be that much difference.
Never know.
So, I mean, it would be nice, but we are here obviously for the all Porsche event, and I think a Mazda would just be a bit out of place, don't you?
Maybe so, maybe slightly. But half the race gone, has just said on the YouTube chat, we could throw the engine in the back. So, yeah, you know, you could trick people with that one. We're just looking at Max Coates now, who is the Clio Cup driver. And I believe he's going into the Mini Challenge this year that's supporting the British Touring Car Championship. He recently joined Year 1 Racing in the very bright and distinct livery that you see before you now. 10th at the moment in class. We do have a maximum of 10 cars in each class as well, so it's not going to be completely unbalanced. We have 7 LMP1s, which is about what we had at Le Mans. And some of the same names as well. I mean, Pete Harrod, he's doing all right at the moment, to be fair. Jack, he's 3.3 seconds off the lead, though. But in those cars, it's not actually that much of a difference, because you can get a humongous spread of pace in these things just simply because of how fast they are, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. It could also be about hybrid management. They might use it at a slightly different part of the track, which, yes, might not be the quickest way around, but it could be the most efficient way. So he might not have the pace and quali, but in the race he could be absolutely crazy, and he might be able to gain a couple of laps, like just on strategy. So it's, yeah, like we said earlier, it's always going to come back to strategy at the moment. I'm sure he hasn't pushed the car to its absolute limits yet. Knowing Pete, he will be dragging it to either side of the track towards the end of the session. But yeah, it's definitely about strategy. Probably not in qualifying so much, but definitely in the race.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And watch the speed acceleration here at the bottom right of your screen as Pete gets on the power now. So 200 Ks, and then before you know it, you're up to 250 Ks before turn 1. Chucks it in. The mechanical grip alone in these cars is bonkers. When you add that with the downforce they've got, it's just an absolute sight to behold. And in the slow sections though, Jack, I imagine this car's going to feel pretty painful around there, but maybe a bit of time, because these cars are so mind-bendingly fast. It might be a bit of a rest for you in this section before you get back on the power.
Yeah, definitely. Going through Village in the loop where we've just seen him negotiate it. Yeah, like you said, the car will feel quite heavy, obviously, because it is all going to be mechanical grip through there, and you can't put all the power down because you'll just end up going backwards. But as soon as you get going towards Aintree down the Wellington Straight, I'm sure it's probably a little rest there as well. But it's when you get into the really high downforce corners, so Copse, Maggots, Beckett's, pretty much all of that backside of the circuit, so literally from Copse to Stowe, possibly even to Vale, where the car just relies solely on downforce and mechanical grip. It's really going to start pushing the drivers towards the end of the race. And with it being a 2-hour race, if some of these guys have got direct drive wheels and maybe just even belt-driven wheels, they're going to start to feel it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It really will be not just an endurance for the cars or for the drivers in terms of just how long they're sat there doing this. It will genuinely be an endurance for the fact that it does wear you out. The thing is with sim racing compared to a lot of other things, you're not just sort of sat there on the sofa with a controller. You know, iRacing is a bit of a step up. I mean, a lot of sims are. When you get into the whole PC gaming community, you do realise that a lot of the gaming side of things is a lot more intense, and with the simulation side, you know, even flight sims as well, iRacing and the other motorsport simulators you get, There is so much that you can get on board with and so much equipment you can buy, and you can make it just as much as the real thing as you need to. And iRacing has definitely proved to be the platform for that when it comes to these sorts of broadcasts. And like you said before, the graphics of it, I mean, it looks the part. And from a broadcasting perspective, I don't think anything touches iRacing in terms of how natural it looks. What do you reckon?
To be honest, I haven't commentated on much else, really. But I can see what you mean 100%. Some of the other platforms maybe don't provide the same sort of availability in terms of support softwares. So I think it's definitely the best, or it's the place to be at the moment in terms of streaming and broadcasting races. Like for example, lead esports championships are held on iRacing for that exact reason, and it's definitely the place to be. And I'm never going to fall out of love for iRacing. They're always producing more content, and if there's the point where they're not producing more content, they're just going to be reworking current content to make it even better.
Yeah, definitely, and there's always development going on with these things. We're going to have a quick look down the order then and see what we've got. In the GTC class at the moment, HM Engineering, they're going to try and confuse us with these numbers, aren't they? They've got HM Engineering 969 leading the class with Kieran Harrison, and Jordan Weeks is second in the 959. So plenty of nines going on here, with especially with them being Porsches as well. So it's the Porsche 911, 991, 959 at the moment. And, well, those guys 1-2. And then, I'll tell you what, they're really, really winning this at the moment, because when you look at this, Norbert Leitner, the Hungarian driver, is first in the 729. Sorry, the 719. There you go, I'm already confused. So it actually works out well, because position 1 is 719 and position 2 is 729. Same team again, HM Engineering, a 1-2 in GTC and GT4. Sim RC DE Titan still leading the way with Felix Luding from Bran Van Putten in G Drive. And I tell you what, Bran was amazing to watch at Le Mans, wasn't he, Jack?
Oh, he was crazy. No matter when you looked at Bram, he was either throwing the car through the Porsche curves and just really making the most of everything he could, or he was in a battle. Like, you could never be bored looking at Bram. He was always up to something. So I'm just hoping for more of the same. He is P2 at the moment in class, but he does have his G Drive teammate just behind.
Yeah, definitely. It's good that they've got a couple of cars, you know, that can help each other out, as the guys in Fiercely Forward have probably said to you. Martin van Loozenhoort still top for G Drive as well in the LMP1 class. Alexi Lane second in the very, I must say, very beautiful. That chrome works so well on the side. Fiercely Forward 919. Look at it go past the GT4 car. It's like it's not even there. Just flies down the straight. We'll quickly go on board with the Fury SimSport car if I can click fast enough, but there goes the 919. It's just like a missile down the straight. Completely gone. Look at it. This is Alexi Lane on the edge right now. Really going for it. Round Luffield 2. And have you sort of had any words with these guys before this event, Jack? Do you know what's going through their heads at the moment?
Not really. They're all running solo as far as I'm aware, so I'm sure they've had a sort of brief before the event, and I'm sure they've all got their own strategy in their head, but I've sort of stayed out the way. I'm not taking part, and I don't want any insider knowledge to what they're planning. It's almost unfair, I guess. Like, I don't want to be prying in, but I'm sure these guys know, as I've raced with them before, they'll do what they can, and they're all quick, clean guys. And like you say, we're looking at Louis Hanker now, and he's ballistically quick, and funnily enough, he races on and off his chair. So
oh, nice.
He's definitely got his feet wet in sim racing, and he's doing it on a sort of minimalist setup in terms of seat. So he'll know what he's doing. So will Ollie just behind. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to see what's going to be happening.
Well, we're just about to see, I hope anyway, Alexi Lane fly by in the Porsche 919, if he's not backed out, that is. It does look like he's slowed down quite a bit. I think he's just coming out of the last corner. Oh no, he's slowed down towards the end of the lap here. Just to, oh no, he's at the beginning of the lap. Okay, so I've misjudged that. I think he's come in the pits, hasn't he, and gone back out again.
Yeah.
I was just hoping to see a bit of the speed difference between the two. We'll go on board here with the number 58 iRacing Porsche RSR. And then if either of these boys do boot it out of here, you'll just see that they'll just disappear. I mean, Alexi might come past on the right-hand side. I'm expecting him to, because, yeah, Brian's got nice and wide there. And off it goes. Look at it. It's just completely gone. 1 minute's in shot, even with the weaving as well. Scrubbing off a bit of speed through turn 1. It's just flying away. Obviously, the old turn 1, of course, through Cops, but yeah, really, these guys look like they're struggling a little bit out there at the moment, though. It looks quite slippy, as we often hear from Silverstone that it is, but It's very visual at the moment, as Barry Baird here in the Nomad Sim Racing car. Love their liveries, actually. Very striking colours. They always stand out quite a bit. Barry is 4th in class at the moment, but this Porsche field is looking very, very close, Jack, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. There's, what is it? So from the bottom of the GTE field to the top of the GTE field, there is, what, 4 seconds? And on a huge circuit, which, how long is a full rotation around here? 5.8 kilometers or something like that? So 4 seconds between a 5.8 kilometer lap, it's nothing major. In an endurance race, it's not going to matter. But these guys, they're only going to get closer because they'll start learning more about the car and learning more about the track evolution. And obviously they'll have draft assistance at the start. So it's a book to be written so far. Like there's nothing that can be decided yet. I have just looked down further, or I've looked a little further down the timing screen. Chris Walsh hasn't found his way out onto the circuit. Neither's Tito Granher.
Yeah, I think Tito's been out, but he doesn't seem to have got a lap in yet. We saw him going around before. But yeah, you're right. Some of these guys, Chris Walsh still showing as being in the pit lane, Spencer Pompelli as well, and Sebastian Herberer. I think what they might have done, to be fair, because they show up as their own name rather than the team name, they might have just registered separately just to get a bit more practice in before they have to jump in the car. We do see that sometimes in these events, so you may see them just pop up at the bottom of the grid in a bit, but please do ignore them, because they'll be in their respective teams' cars. This is just looking like an amazing event so far. Really, really excited for this one. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on YouTube and Facebook. We have 100 viewers on the YouTube channel at the moment, which is fantastic. Awesome numbers. We are very grateful for you to be here. As we look at the leader now, which has changed in the GT4 class, Maxim Ramstein now leads that, so it's 729 from 719. Both HM Engineering cars, though. And still in the GTC class, they're leading the way. So it's looking like quite a dominating performance by those guys at the moment, Jack. I might have to go and follow him on Facebook. Look at the... Oh, no. That's not what you want. That was Tito Granher, actually. We were just speaking about him then. And he's clouted into the back of the GT4 car. What a nightmare for him that was. He just... I don't think he quite judged it right. And the poor GT4 car gets smacked into. And that's going to ruin his lap. But I was just saying that... I might have to follow HM Engineering on Facebook and see if they do any celebrations before this is all over, because, I mean, at the moment it's very convincing. Lewis Ward is 3rd in the GTC class. You can see there the difference between the GTC and the GTE. The GTE just looks so much chunkier, doesn't it? The arches are huge.
Yeah, definitely. You're making the most of sort of the aerodynamic boundaries that they get given. I think, is that Lewis just doing... Is he just... Oh, he's waiting to let some GTE traffic by, get himself some clear air. Ready for what he's going to be. Let's have a look. This will be his 9th lap around the Silverstone circuit, so I'm guessing probably about his 4th flying lap. Yeah, it's the GT car that passed him, Maxwell Root. In the on my screen, he's in the pink pig livery.
Yep.
So yes, one of the real life liveries. We've got Sebastian Herberer is one of the race stewards, so that's why he has not left the pits.
I see. There we go then. Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
That's a test of the physics if I've ever seen one. Very, very odd incident there between those boys. We'll run away from that. Kevin Bolland says, hello, Chaz, in the chat. What about Jack? Max Coates in GTE. Max is racing for Year 1 Racing. His teammate is Bradley Burns as well. Races in the European TCR and is an ex-Clio driver, UK Clio Cup driver. These guys are teammates and 11th in class at the moment. So they are, no other way to say it, last, I'm afraid, at the moment. But I know that Bradley, he's not put a massive amount of time in on iRacing. He's been present on the community for a while. I think Max Coates has got onto it quite recently. But it's not the easiest of platforms to get used to. It's so unforgiving. We'll go on board with Bradley here, see if we can maybe avoid a commentator's curse with him. You can just see the car. Look at the amount of inputs he's having to put in here, Jack. It seems very twitchy, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I know sort of one of the sort of trademark points of a Porsche is it being quite twitchy. Really, they're making the most of the draft of a GT4 car. That was probably a little too close for comfort for whoever was piloting the GT4 machine. But yeah, they are a sort of a trademark point with the Porsche. They can be quite twitchy. I especially know after having at least 24 hours of experience in the is this the 991 RS Series, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, on the brakes they can be very twitchy if you don't judge it right. They reward trail braking on one lap, but then on another they sort of decide that they don't want you to trail brake, and it will hurt. Around this city burns throwing it through Abbey. The heavy braking zones, I'm guessing, will really be where the car is sort of at its closest to spinning, because it's where all the weight transfer is and where everything's going on. You're changing down gears, you're looking for your turning in, is probably where another car is going to go for a lunge. So if you want to look for heavy braking points, you're probably looking going into Village, so just after the first official corner, and then going back into Brooklands as well before you go into the stadium section. I'm guessing that will be sort of the hot spots for overtaking, Chaz.
Yeah, it's all about knowing where to make your moves around a track like this. You know, there's so many places where you can line it up, and we'll probably see a couple of these guys following one another. You know, it is an endurance race, it's not a sprint, so we're going to see a lot of these guys following for a few laps, maybe just crack on and just try and find a weakness. You know, I always say it's all about mind games. You have to constantly be in the mind and in the back of the head of the guy that you're chasing, because you want to just force them into a little mistake. You want to just try and get any advantage you can. And if you know where they're fast, or you know where they're slow, and vice versa, then, you know, you're going to be able to put in a really, really good charge against them. And if you win the mental battle, then you'll win the battle on track. Bram Van Putten has a couple of fans in the YouTube chat by the look of it. Half the Race Gone said about that incident before, it was the launch of the all-new Porsche space program. Probably something to try and rival Elon Musk and his pesky Teslas. Let's just have a look. A team that is out there today, actually, Jack, you'll recognise this one. Team Simpac Racing, who we saw at Le Mans. A huge fan of them. Both of us are, I'm sure. For one very small reason. Can you remember why that is?
I think they might ride on board, you know.
Oh, well, move
That's
the tram
right.
out. There he is in the top right, ladies and gentlemen. The legend himself, Murray Walker, is in more than one way, essentially, in this race with us at the moment. Lovely little Easter egg on their livery, which we noticed at Le Mans, and we're a humongous fan. There is a user called Half the Race Gone in the YouTube chat who also has the same picture of Murray Walker as his profile picture, and obviously, as commentators, Jack, he is our absolute idol, isn't he?
Yes, he definitely is, but I've just noticed something even funnier. If you look over to the other side of the sun strip, there's another one.
There's another one? Okay, let's... There is. He's just poking his head out from the other side, actually. I absolutely love that. That's fantastic banter. There's dabs in chat for Murray Walker as well, so everyone really getting involved. Thank you for everybody that has tuned in so far. Please do let us know who you want to see winning today and what you think of the event as a whole. Bart Delman is out there for Sim Racers World Esports at the moment, and that, I'll tell you what, that livery looks fantastic on the LMP1 car. We didn't really give them much airtime at Le Mans, but wow, what a good looking livery that is. It's simple, but it just works, doesn't it?
I think it does on all of the SRW cars. As I saw last night, the SRW F3 cars, they look absolutely crazy. I really love the livery on those, especially the TCR cars as well with the spec map. I've seen those at VLN, and obviously with your streams with the SRW Immortal TCR series, they just make it work. It's almost abstract because it's really simplistic, but like you said, they just make it work.
Yeah, it's one of those liveries that you can just recognise straight away. We've got a lot of guys in the chat saying hello. Nick Broadbent, DAI Media, good to see you, mate. He's rooting for Pete Harrod to take the win again. If you haven't seen Nick's work before, please do look for DAI Media on Facebook. His photography is absolutely wonderful from a lot of different GT events all over the world. He's been doing, recently as well actually, he's been doing some albums for individual GT3 cars that he's seen at different events. Go on board now, look at the speed difference. Never mind, he's already gone past it. It's just unbelievable. These Porsches just, I mean, every single class has its own little quirk. That is the number 09 car there trying to get in the slipstream. That's Josh Cam of Strasser Motorsports. And I'll tell you what, that livery looks great on that car. They are a real life team, of course, the actual event sponsor today. Do check them out on Facebook. The stream is live on their Facebook page as well. Hello everybody over there that is watching. Apologies for not getting through to your comments at the moment, but we will have a look a little bit later on. But yeah, Strasser run 6 real-life Porsches of differing models as well, and I actually had a bit of information on them as well. So they're a Leeds workshop basically. They do full race builds on Porsches. They've currently got a Porsche 997, 996, a Cayman S, a Boxster, and a Porsche 944. Now, I don't know what your opinion on a 944 is, Jack, but it's one of my favourite cars of all time, just because it shows you that squares are cool.
Definitely, they are one of my all-time favourite Porsches. I see one, you know exactly what it is straight away. I suppose that has helped sort of from my background. I've grown up around motorsport and seeing those races, obviously not in period, not quite that old yet, but just seeing those racing sort of classic sports car club and like sort of differing championships, which are pretty similar. It's just they're iconic. They really are.
Yeah, certainly are. Of course, the Porsche 924 as well, very similar shape, but just 944 is just that little bit cooler. It's a bigger number, so it's got to be cooler. Norbert Leitner, speaking of bigger numbers being cooler, he's actually dethroned his teammate with a bigger car number than him. So the 719 goes back to the front of GT4. 729 is in second place at the moment, and there is an LMP1 just behind him there. And I believe it wasn't Van Oyter, it was Chris Walsh has found his way on track. I thought I didn't recognise it. Chris Walsh for Soul Performance Racing in the red and white livery there. Hopefully we'll see him get up the order. Spencer Pompelli is also on track, actually. Number 66. I think he may actually be running this privately as well here, Jack. It seems like there's a couple of guys out there doing this solo. 2 hours is not too long a race, but it's certainly demanding to do it around here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It is in theory, well, as far as I'm aware from the special events I've done, just hosted by iRacing, it is a stint. You tend to run a fuel, 2 full tanks and generally a set of tyres. So it doesn't really take away from the respect I have for these guys, because sitting down in what is basically the same position for 2 hours straight and having to keep up concentration, because yeah, you might have probably 5 laps respite, if that, until you get LMP1 traffic, then you get GTE traffic, then you get GT3s, but while all that's happening, the LMP1s will be working their way background. Yeah. So you've got to be on it for this entire race. And yes, Silverstone is quite a forgiving circuit. There's no major sausage curbs, there's plenty of runoff, but that doesn't mean you can use it. It's yeah, I do have a major respect for these guys if you are doing it solo. Even if you're not doing it solo, getting a team together and doing it. That's Esme Hawkey going backwards. We did mention the brakes. I'm guessing it was on the brakes going into, what would that be? That would be going into club. Yeah.
It's just as I cut away as well, typically. I have some sort of curse over me. For anyone that hasn't watched, and anyone that hasn't watched any of my streams before or anything that I've done on Sim Racers World TV, you won't have seen this, but as soon as I'm watching somebody talking about them and just saying how well they're doing, I'll cut away and then they'll have an accident in the background. Also, bit of information for you here, Jack, and I did not know this, and we will go back to the man himself. Chris Walsh is apparently one of the members of the USA Olympic bobsled team.
Well, I can see the sort of, I'm trying to think of the word now. The similarity, that's the one. I can see the similarity between a bobsled and an LMP1 car, because I'm pretty sure his bobsled keeps up with an LMP1 car.
It probably does. It probably does.
He won't be a stranger to speed and G-force. Not that you get G-force in the sim, but he won't be. Yeah, he definitely won't be a stranger to the speed of these machines. So that's really interesting. I did not know that.
No, it's good to have so many big names out there. But this is the thing with sim racing, you know. Some of these guys can just come together and race against humongous names, and you know, people that do this in real life, maybe people that they've watched on TV that they are huge fans of as well. Someone I am a huge fan of that I'm going to go to now is probably my favourite name in this race. Now, me and Jack do this. We go through the list of names and we choose who we think has the best one. I just want to give a quick shout out as well to a driver that was in the LMP. He wasn't in the LMP2 class, wasn't he? He was in the GTE, the Ford GTE at the Le Mans 2.4 hours that we did a couple of weeks ago. And his name was Keanu Bourguignon, but I sort of dubbed his nickname to eventually be Keanu Reeves Beef Bourguignon, and he was such a great sport about it. He was getting involved in the chat and he was loving it. But moving on to this race, my favourite name here, Jack, is Juan Manuel Santabaya from Argentina in the Banzu RX Flow LMP1 car. What a race driver name that is.
It's definitely got some history behind it, hasn't it? It doesn't matter what sort of, whether you take the forename, the middle name, or the surname. Well, not necessarily the surname, it's similar. But definitely the forename and the middle name, you could make lots of race drivers happy.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, though, mate. What do you reckon is your favourite name of any of the drivers we have out there at the moment?
Oh God.
Now, I'm a huge metal fan, so I'm quite a fan of Maxime Ramstein, of course.
I think I would go. Is it Loke Hartog?
Yes, I like that.
It's
Yes.
a unique name. I like that as well. I think it's just Martin van Loosnord for the amount of vowels, because it's got two A's, two O's, and then two O's.
Yeah, that's very true. And then obviously the extra E's and the A's in the middle as well. So, and then he's got the massive long team name after it, the G-Drive Racing Eximia LMP1 number 31.
That goes off my screen. I can't even see that.
Yeah. So he's certainly got the driver name to go with it. G-Drive are now actually 1 and 2 at the moment. They have their number 31 car on pole and the number 2 car second at the moment. This is Job van Uyter, the name that I can't pronounce yet and will eventually probably be able to pronounce by the end of the race. Chris Walsh has gone into 7th position in the LMP1 class, and I don't know if he's using the engine or whether it's the 4 people to push it off the line, but he's 12 seconds down at the moment, Jack.
Yeah, we did say at the start it's not massively it's not a massive issue if you're not the quickest in qualifying, because it is an endurance race, but he is going to be starting within his own class. So he won't have any traffic to contend with, and maybe this is some sort of strategy. He might just want to start at the back, take it easy, make the most of some draft at the start, save fuel, save tyres, and just maybe clean it up at the end. But I'm sure this isn't the last we'll see of Chris Walsh. I'm guessing he'll be fighting along, or maybe he's just here for the for a bit of fun, which is what I'm pretty sure 99% of people are here for. So yeah, it's nice to see that he's still out on track. He's still circulating. He's only completed around 2.5 laps, but he definitely knows his way around because he's just negotiating traffic like nothing, which isn't exactly a big ask in an LMP1 car, but he knows where to do it.
Yeah, definitely. There is some skill involved in picking the right moment to go past the car, you know, where you can just go around the outside, chuck it back down the inside. It's not something that comes naturally, you know. You have to really have the judgment skill for it and be able to pick out the moment. See, he held back there rather than going down the outside and knowing that the Cup car was going to run wide. He just held back a little bit and then went back down the inside. And these endurance races are all about making those decisions. You know, we've seen, I mean, in Le Mans in real life, there's been humongous accidents, of course, where an LMP1 tries to go past a GT car at the right moment or at the wrong moment as such. But for the amount of time you're going to lose in the long run, maybe just hanging back, losing a second, 2 seconds here or there, it could either make or break your race at the same time, but you'd rather finish the race and play it safe and get caught up in an incident trying to take advantage of something, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. Something to I've just got to bring something up with you, Chaz. What is on the back of that SRW car? I saw it on the tail end, or on the boot lid of Matthias de Tige's car. I know it's going to be hard to find a camera that does this, that's realistic, but I've spotted something that I think... There you go. What's that, Chaz?
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's go on the chase cam. I'm not going to lie, I do not think that I've got the livery on for this at the moment. No, I've got the PorscheSport decal layer on this car, but unfortunately it's bright green and black on my screen.
In bright white letters on a black surface, it says Chaslington.
Oh yes, yes, I saw them painting the livery for this. He said Ian did message me and said they had a nightmare with getting the paint uploaded, but yes, I do have my logo on the Sim Racers World Esports car. Non-biased, of course, at all, but as you can imagine, everybody with the amount of work we do together, it's quite nice to have the logo on it. And it's on the front arches as well, but we cannot see it, unfortunately, at my end on the stream. So apologies to everyone that's watching my camera thinking, what the hell is this guy on about? But Jack can see it, and that's what's one of the important bits. HM Engineering is still leading the way in GTC and GT4. Lewis Ward is third at the moment in the Meraki Racing number 97 car. He's just driven on, well, he's just gone and parked it on the exit there. Matthias de Tige then, as we saw, in the number 99 car, flooring it out of Luffield and down the old pit straight. I'm going to bring up the track map again, which will show you the numbers are the positions of the cars in their overall positions, not just in class, but we can change that to show each individual class as well, eventually. But there's so many cars on track here, Jack, you can just see the spread. I know that it's qualifying at the moment, but before we know it, the race is going to look like that as well, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. 5 laps, I give it maximum before it spreads out to that sort of extent. I've just been looking over at the timing screen, and it seems like teammates don't want to leave each other alone, because in LMP1 class we've got a G-Drive 1-2. In the GTE class we've got a G-Drive 2-3. In the GTC class, we've got a HM Engineering P1, P2. Yes, it is. It's just Adam Delmont is, for some reason, still looking like a GTC. And then in the GT4 class, we've got a HM Engineering 1, 2.
Yeah, it's good to see them working in pairs at the moment, essentially. I mean, they may not be on track together as pairs, but it's, yeah, certainly strange how that does happen a lot. I mean, in the Sim Racers World TCR series that we broadcast on Tuesday nights, we often see that the two Sim Racers World cars are stuck together. Gregory Vranks and the guy you see here, Matthias de Tige, they are always together on track, just making up their positions through the order as a pair. And I call it flying formation because they do a heck of a good job of it, trust me. Top of the standings though in GTE, it's not really changed at the moment. Mikkel Jensen in the G-Drive Racing Eximia GTE2 car is currently in second place, and his teammate, like you say, Bram van Putten, in third position. So what we're going to do for just a moment here then, with 5 minutes of qualifying left to go, we're just going to leave you with the sound of the Porsche while we just go and sort out a couple of little things at our end, and we'll be back to round up qualifying in just 2 seconds. Don't go away. Thank you for your patience at the moment, everybody. Just trying to sort out some of the liveries at this end, because we've noticed that a couple of them aren't showing, and we do believe to have the files in the right places. So just sorting a few things at this end, and we will be back with you commentary-wise in a second. It's great to be riding on board with Bram van Putten at the moment, though. So quick round here. Just give us another minute or so, and once qualifying's over, we will run you through the grid. Okay then, as qualifying just comes to an end now, you may see the cars change into a lovely plain white colour for just a moment. That will just reload some of the liveries at this end, but we should be good to go. We'll just bring Jack back in as well now while we get things sorted here, so please do bear with us while this is all changing. But this is going to get mighty close now. Martin van Loozenord looking like he is going to be on pole position here, Jack. And it's a good job from him.
Yeah, definitely a crazy lap. He's 2 or half a second clear of his teammate behind in the other G-Drive LMP1 machine. Shortly followed by Alexio Lane, who is 2.5 seconds back, but we did mention earlier on a 5.8 kilometer circuit, it's not the greatest of margins. Followed by Tito Grania. At the moment, we haven't got many people still out on circuit that are going to be able to post a time, well, in time. We've got Michael Jensen in the G-Drive Xemia GTE car, the number 2 machine. So there he is doing. There he is. He is doing everything he can to maybe even scratch a pole position. He's only that's only 1.5 tenths ahead of Felix. Is it Luding? Felix Luding, currently on provisional pole position in the GTE class. So we'll stick with Michael just to see what he can do with his Porsche. His teammate Bram van Putten couldn't improve, so he is P3 at the moment. Obviously, this is only provisional. Still got Barry Bard, I believe. Barry Baird, sorry, is still out. So we'll see what Michael Jensen can do. Can he get pole position? No, just misses out. Wasn't an improvement for him either. It wasn't far away though. This is Steve Clays. He is in P9 in class at the moment, P26 overall. Oh, he's lost it. That was brave coming out of Stowe, heading down towards Vale. That was that got very squirrely.
Yeah, it certainly did. That was just a very quick snap. Shows you how easy it is to do around there. But he is now back on there.
Jump pit entry, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to be done for the session then. And that, well, that 45-minute qualifying session certainly has flown by. And we'll be going over the grid in just a second then. We're going to go through it class by class and see what we can do on there. The session will just tick over for a moment, so do bear with us. You'll see a bit of an empty screen for a moment with some of these cars. And then we should have a grid any second. So there you go then. There is the LMP1 class at the top. Martin van Loozenord on pole with Joop van Uyter. I'm still going to get it wrong. Second on the grid, Alexi Lane third with Tito Granhern fourth. Pete Harrod and Nick Shermans make up row 3. And Chris Walsh, Jack, rounds out your LMP1 class.
Yeah, going on to the... Oh, go
on. Sorry, it just scrolled a bit too far. There's Felix Luding on pole, isn't it?
Yes, Felix Luding on pole position in the GTE class, followed by Michael Jensen, who has got Bram van Putten for company, his G-Drive teammate, followed by Barry Baird, if I got that correctly. Then PJ Claysons rounds out row 6 and the top 12. We then get to Sebastian Hawkins and Jordan McClone. Then Maxwell Root and Adam Delmont. He's in a GTE. Please do trust us. That is just a fault in the colour. Definitely on my screen anyway. Then go to Bradley Burns and Carl Sharkey, and he rounds out our GTE field. Please ignore Ian Roots.
Yeah, Ian Roots there is one of the race directors. Good to see Ian. He is actually the director of Sim Race as well. He's helped to put all this together. Behind him is Kieran Harrison, who leads the GTC class from Jordan Weeks and Lewis Ward. Then it's Esme Hawkey and Kobe Class in 24th. Then we have Josh Cam, Matthias Detige, Steve Clays and Tom Metherell, Ruben Van Buell, and Adam McNally round out your GTC.
And then we get to the GT4 fields. Last but definitely not least, there'll be some great battles up and down the field in those. So on pole position in the GT4s, we have Maxime Ramstein, I believe, in the HM Engineering 729 machine, followed by his HM Engineering teammate, Norbert Leitner. And then get to Louis Hanker and Martin Plowman, then Ben Thanes and Ollie Slade in the second of the Fiercely Forward machines. We then get to Spencer Pumpley, Liam Silkstone, Derek DeBoer. Actually, Derek DeBoer does round out the grid. So, we did find out from Seb Herbera that he is the race director for this race. So 39 cars. Well, in theory, it will be 38 cars on the grid. and we're definitely not going to be short of action, Chaz.
Definitely not. As the field starts to roll away, then it's the two G-Drive cars at the front of the grid. They're not doing a full warm-up lap. It's just going to be the last couple of corners here. They will be away class by class, so as you can see, the GTE cars handing back a bit now. There is the Sim RC paint. I do apologise for not having that on earlier. We have hopefully sorted out all of these liveries now, and we will shut the music up because all of these 38 Porsches are now going to light us up for 2 hours of what I can imagine is going to be pure entertainment. The two G-Drive cars then lead us around, and the PorscheSport 2 hours of Silverstone will be underway, and they're away then. Great start for the LMP1 field, nice and smooth from those guys. Maxwell Root seems to be at the front of the GTE class. I don't quite think he's got the memo because Jürgen Frank hasn't gone yet, so the pink pig is running away. And he's got himself a bit of a lead. I'm not sure whether he's going to get a bit of a smack on the wrist for that. Here's the GTE cars then, led by Jürgen Frank. Maxwell Root is really gone, hasn't he? I think Ian's going to have a word with him about that one. He has apparently turned up in his own team as well, so I'm not sure if he's properly registered for the event, but we'll see. You can see here the Sim RC car with the two G-Drive cars right on his tail. They really want to be pushing. You can see the Nomad car in there as well. They're completely side by side here. He doesn't want to give him any room at all. No clues. Jürgen Frank is going to put his foot down. There he goes, and he actually catches them off guard a little bit there by the look of it, Jack. He's done a really, really good job on that one.
Yeah, definitely a great start. He backed them up as much as he could going through club and puts his foot to the floor, and then you hear the train of screaming Porsches going through Abbey. We look back to the GTC field. We've got, Kieran Harrison already pulled out a lead to the Meraki machine of Lewis Ward. And was that a bit of contact in the background? That was Jordan Weeks in the HM Engineering machine, who I believe was on, did he start P2 in that class, Chaz?
I think it was him that was on pole position. You know, there's the two HM cars leading the GT4 field away. But as you may have well seen there, Maxwell Root has unfortunately been off. Oh, Derek DeBoer is around as well. He started back of the grid and it's gone to pot for him already. We've got a car off, Jürgen Frank. Jürgen Frank, the leader in GTE, is already off the circuit. I'm not sure how he's done that there. It looks like the car's gone straight on. He gets it reversed to get it back on the track. But Martin van Loozenhoorn is already completing the first lap here, Jack. And this just shows you the pace of these LMP1 cars. Our Le Mans 2.4 hour winner, Pete Harrod, is halfway down the straight. And that is the incredible difference we see between them already. It's close in GTE as well. There's PJ Clayson's on Sebastian Hawkins. Some great battles kicking off already, Jack. And let's hope that this stays like this for 2 hours because, I'm beaming. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna. Well, let's hope so. It's, that it sticks like this for the following 2 hours of racing. When I said that I'm guessing it'll be 5 laps, I'm guessing it will be this lap because the LMP2 field are already winding, or LMP1 field are already winding their way through Luffield, and the GT4 field haven't even got their way through Copse yet. So this lap we will start to see a few little traffic or traffic-related battles through the field. Who was that running slightly wide? That was Max Coates in the Year 1 machine, trying to do everything he can to find a way past Barry Bird in the Nomad Sim Racing car. That was the wrong. I was looking at the wrong gentleman there. Sorry about that. But we're looking at PJ Clayson's. Here we go. PJ Clayson's is now pushing on to try and catch to Barry Baird in the Nomad Sim Racing machine. And he is also trying to make inroads on Bram van Putten and Mikael Jensen, the two G-Drive teammates leading the way in the GTE class.
Yeah, we look back down to the GTC then. So Harrison from Lewis Ward. Of course, his teammate, Jordan Weeks, did drop down, unfortunately, in class there. Jürgen Frank is making his way back through the order now in the GTE car as he just goes past one of the Strassen machines. That was Josh Cam. We'll just see here, actually, Jack, the difference between the GTE and I'll tell you what, actually, there's a bit of a moment here because here comes the Porsche 919s coming past the class leaders. Watch this. Here he goes. Here's the G-Drive machine. Look at that. It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling speed, and they're already lapping the GT4 cars. We will go back to Jürgen Frank, though, because he is now coming through the GTC cars. Not too much of a speed difference between these things. It only tends to be when you get to a corner, really. In terms of the power, they're actually quite similar, aren't they?
Yeah, I'd say that there's no major difference between the power outputs of these cars. Obviously, there is a slight difference. The GTE does punch out a little bit more, but it's the aerodynamics which really make the most of it. And you can see the GT Cup car isn't exactly letting the GTE car through, because obviously the GT Cup car doesn't have the same amount of downforce, so it doesn't have the same amount of drag. So it's probably about on par in terms on the straight. So if they were running the same engine, I'm pretty sure they'd be pretty much bang on.
Yeah, indeed. Not wrong there. And apologies to everybody that had said that the timer was playing up. It did say that the race was nearly 35 minutes gone, and that's obviously very, very wrong. But look at the difference now then as Frank comes up to the leader in GTC. Don't get too close to the back of him, buddy, because you don't want to be turning him off the circuit. You don't want to get involved too closely with that there. Kieran Harrison still leading the way in class, though, doing a great job for HM Engineering. Strasser Motorsports have a car up in third place now in the form of Josh Cam. Josh, I believe, was racing for Excite Energy in the Le Mans 2.4 hours, and he did very, very well. On the left-hand side of your screen as well, by the way, everybody, I'm going to try and increase how many cars that we can see, just so you can see, say, the top 30. Let's see how that works for you, see whether we can do that. And then you may get a few more. There you go. But it does go a little bit close down to the bottom, which hurts my OCD, but we'll stick with it. You can see pretty much most of the field there then. As we lose a few over the course of the race, you know, it might get a little bit thinned out on that part, but it's starting to spread out a little bit. Here's Spencer Pompelli and Ben Thayens in the G-Drive Racing Eximia GT4 car, having a bit of a battle at the moment. And at this point of the race, Jack, I mean, I know that you may have had a bit of experience in this before, but what would you be thinking at this part of the race? Do you just think play it safe, or do you think, you know, while the field is still compact together, this is your chance to go for a move?
See, that really is the question. It's the $1 million question in theory. Like, I'm more than happy to sit behind a car. If I've got the pace to overtake, it's probably easier just to sit behind them, put a bit of pressure on, even if you're not intending to put pressure on. If the driver's using their mirrors to drive, it's really gonna. There you go. Just shows that was Pumpelly going deep into, what was that? That was the village hairpin. So you've got to sort of find the balance between pushing. That's Martin Plowman going around, just put the car on the grass, and he's doing everything he can to get the car turned around in time, and that is going to drop him down the order a hell of a lot. That's really unlucky for Martin. He was, it looked like he almost had a run going towards Aintree, all that hard work undone. But we're only 6 minutes into the race, and he definitely knows what to do in these GTE cars with experience being in a GT4. So he's definitely not out.
Yeah, certainly so. And now, Jack, now we can see. Now we can see it. The GTE car. Now, apologies for the unrealistic chase cam for breaking the immersion slightly for a second, everybody, but there is the very busy rear end of the Sim Racers World Esports Porsche 991 Cup car, chasing down Jordan Weeks, who's actually gained 2 places since the start here. Jack goes, oh, he goes deep there, does Detige, nearly into the back of him, but, you know, that's what's so easy to do in these cars. You can easily snatch a brake and just straight line the thing. It's kind of close, you know, in the P1 class, because Pete Harrod has Bart Daleman just 0.8 of a second, just around a second behind him now.
Yeah, definitely. They've only sort of got closer. They're pretty much closer than what they started. I noticed Alexio Lane had a slight incident towards the start of the race, but he's starting to make amends. He's posting purple sectors. I noticed 2 laps ago he set a purple sector 3 and sector 4, and in the previous lap he set a purple sector 5. So he's definitely pushing hard and trying to make up for the mistake. Not 100% sure what it was, but he's back out on track, and he's still making inroads. But Pete Harrod winding his way through traffic, dragging Bart Daleman with him, and I've got a feeling, I know we're only 8 minutes into the race, but these guys will be battling it out race long.
Yeah, hopefully so, because it's going to be very exciting if it's either of these guys. Neither of them give up. Bart Daleman currently leading the Sim Racers World Formula 3 Series, and Pete Harrod, of course, winning the 2.4 hours of Le Mans just a couple of weeks ago. He's a very talented driver, a real-life drifter is Pete Harrod, and he lives only about a mile away from me, so as you can imagine, I've wanted to go out drifting with him as much as I can, but the coronavirus has put pay to that for now. But he's a very talented sim racer as well, and you can see that from how well he pedals this car. I mean, not to sort of shed any negative light on them, but for him to say, you know, I beat G-Drive single-handedly at Le Mans, it's quite a shouting point, as we have a car in the pits here, Mikkel Jensen.
Jensen. He was leading the GTE class.
Yeah, something's gone wrong there. Maybe he's not putting enough fuel in the thing. What do you reckon? Maybe a drive-through for jumping the start or something? You may have all noticed as well, by the way, Maxwell Root is now out of the race, unfortunately, after the Very controversial start that we saw from him. It looks like a drive-through, you know, Jack.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what happened. I wasn't aware of any contact, and jumping the start, I didn't think he jumped the start. I thought he was caught off guard, personally. But could he have been the reason why? Who was it that ended up getting helped into the gravel? Let's go with. Who was it that?
Oh, it's Jürgen Frank, wasn't it? The
Yeah.
ex-class leader.
Could he have been playing a part in that?
Potentially, yeah. Jürgen's now actually ahead of Max Coates in the Year 1 car and now behind Carl Sharkey. Down the inside of Carl he goes. Max wants a bit of this as well. That's a Strauss machine. Oh, Max makes contact. Wow, the Excite car. He actually does him a favour there as Adam Delmont is in the middle of the road. What happened to Adam there? Wow, what a nightmare that was. But let's go on board. Does he just loop it on the brakes? It's very easy to do. No ABS in these things. Yeah, look at that. It just snatches it. And this is going to be a bit of a frightening moment now. As these boys come around here, you'll see the contact. Bang, there it is. And just wide. Well, that's very, very focusing for Adam Delmont of Excite Energy iRacing. And Bram Van Putten now in the number 1 car as his teammate in the P1 car goes through. Excuse me. Bit of a hiccup there. Bram Van Putten leads the class. Barry Baird is in second in the Nomad sim racing car. And PJ Clayson's just behind there in third. But the difference between some of these cars at the moment, mate, is fantastic. As Luzenord, well, I was just about to say, does the fastest lap of the race. But his teammate beats him to it by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, these guys definitely know what they're doing. They were on very, very similar lap times throughout practice and then through quali. And I've got a feeling just a mild bit of team practice has been taking place. They've got themselves. Let's have a look. So Job van Outert, I believe. I'm not 100% sure anymore. Has got a 2-second gap to his G-Drive teammate of Martin van Loosnoord, the LMP1 leader, and together they have built up a 5.5-second gap to Alexio Lane in P3. And it's really started to spread out quite a lot. I wasn't expecting it to spread out this quickly. It does seem like GT4 is the place to look because Liam Silkstone, pardon me, is he putting pressure on Martin Plowman, I believe, in the Fury Sim Sport machine?
Let's just have a quick look here. They are close, yeah, very close indeed. The Excite car catching up with him.
Issue from Max Coates.
Yeah, I've just seen that pop up on my screen now. You are more on it than I am. He's in there with one of the G-Drive cars. It's very easy to over-rotate the car on the brakes around here. Let's just see if he does that. Yep, there it goes. Just as he turns in, lets off the brakes, spins it. Nice little donut to go with it, though. He styles it out well, doesn't he? I suppose that's what the real-life racing experience has done for Max. Apparently, by the way, there was an incident with Jürgen Frank on lap 1, so we're going to just have a quick look back at it. This is what happened. Oh, and there you go. I was going to say, it seemed like the car had gone straight on from the skid marks. But that's a real shame, that, and that will be why we saw a drive-through penalty for Mikkel Jensen in the G-Drive car. And the wing not looking too healthy on that machine now, mate. Do you reckon that they'll be harmed in terms of the pace? I mean, he's back up to 6th in class, to be fair to him, behind Jordan McGlone.
Yeah, it'll be a very similar sort of strategy as we saw at Le Mans. There were a few cars looking rather second-hand, but because Le Mans is obviously a hell of a lot longer than the Silverstone GP circuit, but I'm guessing he'll stay out for maybe a couple more laps, assessing the car, seeing how it feels, whether his performance is affected in any way, and if not, he will just stay out, keep on pounding out the quick, consistent laps, and that is definitely all he's doing. He's obviously been caught out at the start, and he's not letting that phase him at all. We're still only 13 minutes into the race, and he's well and truly on it. You wouldn't have thought he's had an issue at all.
No, definitely not. It's just a case of plugging on, like you say, in this. Adam Delmont and Max Coates just changing places there. I think Max is... Oh, he's had another issue there. Yeah, he's not going too well at the moment, is Max Coates, but I know that he only recently joined, got into year 1 racing. We'll see what happened here. This won't go on his career show reel. Yeah, it's just a bit late into there. Look, as soon as you turn it in, it goes around. Adam Delmont is now the car that goes past the stationary one, rather than being the stationary one. Let's have a look who's closest on track at the moment. Josh Cam has Matthias de Tige behind, but Steve Clay's right in front here, and that is the G-Drive car. This is another bit of kit that sounds great, isn't it, really, the GTC Cup Car? It's just... that flat 6, you can't mistake it for anything, can you?
And I think we should just get to the point. Porsches sound amazing. Yeah, you know exactly what you're listening to as soon as you hear the engine note of these things, and they sound even better in real life. And we've got Martin van Loosnoord just casually popping in a 1 minute 41.1, so another fastest lap of the race, almost, or just over half a second quicker than his teammate behind. So he's definitely on it. We're still looking at Josh come on board, basically pushing Steve Clays down the straight, and this battle ain't going away.
No, definitely not. He's just going into what was the old Luffield 1 sort of section. Oh, there's a bit of a nearly contact there, but he puts it down the inside. That was very, very brave stuff. And now he's run very wide there. He's going to get on the grass. Oh, he stops it from doing so. But now behind him, right behind him as well, is Tom Metherell for Meraki Racing. And then Matthias de Tige. And we've got quite a bunch of Belgian drivers there. Glenn van Paris, Ruben van Buel. Then we have the Dutch driver, Maxime Ramstein, who is leading his class at the moment with his teammate Norbert Leitner, the Hungarian driver, in second. So they're going very, very well at the moment. Norbert in 28th place overall, but second in class. And then Louis Hanke for Fiercely Forward, and then Ollie Slade for Fiercely Forward. So not doing too badly, your boys, at the moment, Jack. I bet you're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. I've got to try and stay as non-biased as possible, but these guys definitely know what they're doing. Do we know what happened to Esme Hawkey? Because she seems to have dropped quite far down the field.
Yeah, something has definitely gone awry for Esme Hawkey there. I'm going to have a quick look through the order and see whether I can find the issue from going back. The G-Drive car very close to the back of Ollie Slade there. That's a really, really good view of the livery for them. I'm just going to go and have a quick look and see whether we can find out what happened to Esme Hawkey, but to be honest with you, I can't see anything standing out to me at the moment. Doesn't look like
One thing that is confusing me is no less than half a minute ago, I got a notification saying Esme Hawkey has passed Seb Herborough, but obviously Seb isn't driving, so possibly internet issues or a hardware issue for Esme, which is definitely isn't great to see at all. She was definitely on the pace in practice, and I was looking forward to see what she could do out on track and how that real life experience could push forward. We had another incident for Max Coates, so it's not something we like to see at all, but Max seems to be struggling.
Yeah, it's just getting this car rotated properly and getting it stopped on the brakes. Look, it just goes around again. Needs to shove the brake bias forward, in my opinion, but he probably knows a lot more than I do, in all honesty, Jack, so I'll leave that with him. Tito Granher has just passed Bart Daleman for P5. Martin Plowman has apparently just gone off the circuit. Oh, that's where is that? One. That's Maggots and Beckett's, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just straight line Maggots and coming back on at Beckett's by the looks of it, I think. Yeah, there's the yes going onto the hangar straight now. So not 100% sure what happened there. He might have grabbed a bit of grass on the entry, but he's got it back going again. This is Bart Daleman deciding what he wants to do with. Is that Pete Harrod? No, that's it. That's Tito Granher.
And Tito does get him back eventually as well, actually. So we'll stick with this for just a second before we go live again. And TSR Jimmy is asking, is the GTE race starter route out of the race? Yes, he didn't start at the front of the grid, but I assume that when the... Oh, wow, look at that from Tito Granher. That was Hakkinen-esque. Beautiful stuff. Still side by side, which what are they going to do here with this GTC car? Doesn't go for it there. Plays it nice and safe. But yes, Mr. Root was not on pole position in his class, but when the P1 cars went, they were going to delay the rest of the cars. He clearly didn't get the memo, and he completely launched it off the line and thought, all right, see you guys, I'm off, see you in a bit. And what he didn't realise was he was saying bye because he was going to get to the steward's room before anybody else and go and have a word with race control. So unfortunately he's out. Bram Van Putten leading the GTE class at the moment, as we expected, Jack, but to be honest, I want to see Jürgen Frank come back through the order here. He's still in 6th place. He's got Jordan McGlone just 1.8 seconds ahead there, in possibly, in a non-biased way, our favourite car in the field. Because, I mean, I love the livery. I love the fact it's got Murray Walker on it, but they're a great bunch of guys as well. They're really good sports, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I do love that Simpac livery. I saw it at VLN, obviously, on the GT4 cars. And, wow, it's a very eye-catching livery. It's just got an absolute range of colours. I heard that was all changed when they did sort of the rebrand. This is Derek de Boer. Where's that? Is that coming out of the final corner at Club, going onto this new start-finish straight? Did he use all of the sausage curb? No, that's a very weird incident for Derek.
Used more than just sausage curb there. He's done a bit of lawn mowing and got it back on very safely just after the apex, but he knows that people are going to be running wide there. So unfortunately, well, he's back up to speed now though, is Derek in the number 17 car, 35th overall. Last car running but you're not going to miss it. Nice bright chrome livery. It does look like, guys, unfortunately, Esme Hawkey is out of the race. So I'm not quite sure what has gone on there. We'll keep an eye out and see. But I'm afraid it looks like she is out of the race as things stand. This is Jordan Weeks, third at the moment. Had a bit of a nightmare start on this one, Jack. He was on the front row, but then dropped back down, and he's now up into third place in class again. So doing a great job with Lewis Ward, just 2.7 seconds ahead.
Yeah, he's really on the charge now. He's like you said, Lewis Ward will be the next target, but he's like, as you very kindly did, change the camera back to Steve Clays. So he's got the G drive machine behind, pushing forwards, but he also can't forget about the Strasser Motorsport machine of Josh Cam behind. So these guys, I'm guessing they'll start battling, if they aren't already, pretty soon and start to slow each other down. So that could be a breath of fresh air for Jordan Weeks, so he can get his head down and keep pushing. I've just seen on the timer screen, Alexio Lane still deciding that he wants to go quicker, and he's set a purple sector 4. So he's definitely making up for that initial incident, and he's pushing on. We saw a great performance from him and Ollie Slade in the Le Mans 2.4 hours, and that was Job van Outert getting held up by traffic, and even more so coming out of Chapel, going onto the Hanger Straight. So Alexi really gained on Job now. There is 1/10 between these guys in the draft. I'm sure he's making the most of the hybrid. Can he get it on the brakes going around the outside? It's Stowe. You've got to be brave if you can get that done. He gets the cutback, heading down towards Vale. Got a bit more GT traffic, nearly cuts in front. 3 wide for a moment, going into club. They all managed to negotiate their way through there. Just Alexi once again held up, but he looks like he gets the better run after getting the slight draft assistance from the GTE traffic, going to complete another lap of the Silverstone circuit through, heading through Abbey now. It looks like Job van Outert is getting held up once again. Alexi has got the run, nearly gets around the outside, but gets shown the cold shoulder.
That was amazing battling by these guys. I mean, Van Outert chucked it down the inside. They were 3 wide, got it stopped really late, and somehow didn't hit the team's impact car. They're just all talking in the YouTube chat at the moment, saying that they are what is known as the blown engine of sim racing. But I tell you what, I bet their hearts are in their mouths for a second there. What a great chase this is, though, by Alexio Lane. Like you say, he's putting in some rapid laps and taking G-Drive on. He's best of the rest at the moment. But Pete Harrod is 13.8 seconds back on these guys. I'll just chuck you the track map on the right-hand side, everyone, just so you can see the spread of the field. And you can just see how far behind Pete Harrod is. He's the little red number 4 at the bottom of the map at the moment. And we are looking at Alexio Lane, the number 3, highlighted at the top of the map, going around into Maggots and Beckett. So quite a spread between the P1 cars at the moment here, Jack. And you never know. I mean, as we saw at Le Mans, it can come down to the final lap here.
Yeah, definitely. We saw that in VLN as well in the TCR class, that it doesn't matter. The race is only done until you cross the finish line. So these guys will be battling once again. It is almost like fate, because the Porsche did get the balance of performance. Was it the Porsche that got the balance of performance changes before Le Mans?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So these guys definitely know what they're doing in the Porsche. Obviously, they've put in plenty of practice for Le Mans. Then did the 2.4 hours, and now they're here. So they've definitely been getting their money's worth out of the Porsche 919. Here is Tito Granher coming under pressure from Bart Daleman. Bart not quite close enough, I don't think, to get a move done into club. We have seen Alexio Lane try to do that on the lap prior, but the order still remains the same. But how long that will be for, I don't know.
I'm just speaking to the Simpac boys. TSR Jimmy, who I believe is one of those guys, said it's not a Simpac iRacing endurance race without technical difficulties. And hopefully he doesn't have any here, because he's got the G-Drive car of Mikkel Jensen making his way back up the order, right behind him now. And I'm sorry if you can't hear me over this, but Bart Daleman has had an issue. We were just looking at him as well. You know what I said earlier about how I look away and things go downhill? It goes to pot for Bart Daleman. Bart apparently, he catches the curb and it just spins the car. And again, these guys know what to do tonight in styling it out. It must be because it's a Porsche, but don't tell anybody. He's doing a cracking job of turning that around and not losing too much time. But now, of course, 7th place. Mikkel Jensen has just got past Jordan McGlone. Sorry, everyone in the Simpac team. He's thinking, flash the lights, that'll distract him. Not if the livery doesn't already, to be fair. It's like some sort of dazzle camo. Just in front of this is Jürgen Frank chasing down Sebastian Hawkins as well. So there's a lot of really good battles going on here. And Frank is going to try and go up into 4th place in class. Max Coates has had another issue. We're going to stick with this for a second, just see. what Jürgen can do. Great chase at the moment here into Maggots and Beckett's. Apparently for some of the guys that were watching the actual sort of race information in the session, apparently it was quite amusing to some of them just to hear Frank did a bad sportsmanship. So I can see why, but look at that 919 who just disappears down the road. It's scary. What's Jürgen going to do here though? Is he going to go down the inside into Stowe? Onto the brakes late. Oh, I tell you what, he's not been given the room there. He has to just tap the brakes. Hawkins has none of it. He's got the Sim Racers World P1 car deciding which way he wants to go. He needs to send him a letter by the look of it before he can do it. Onto the brakes. Jürgen Frank is really pushing here, Jack, and I don't know whether this is going to end in contact or not. What do you think?
Let's hope not. We never want to see contact. A bit of rubbing, because rubbing is racing. Maybe a bit of trading paint on the doors, but nothing major. Let's hope not. Anyway, in that Bart Daleman incident, a little earlier on, it does look rather innocent, but that could have caused a bit of floor damage. We've seen it. We've seen it before. These LMP1 cars aren't very sturdy. They can be quite fragile. This is Jürgen Frank looking every which way to try and find a way past, and just missing the tail end of Sebastian Hawkins. Seb Hawkins knowing exactly what to do. Park it on the apex, just so Jürgen can't get to the run. But while all this is happening, they've been slowing each other down. So now Mikael Jensen is starting to catch up to the back of this duo. But Mikkel is deciding to bring Jordan McGlone along with him.
Yeah, it's quite a sturdy battle between these guys. We've gone board with Jordan McGlone. He's a little bit further back from them. You can just see them coming out of the corner in front of them. But look at how this is bunching up. And Jürgen's got the job done, actually. He's managed to get through past Hawkins. And now Mikkel Jensen wants in on this because, of course, Jack, this is Mikkel's chance to stay with Jürgen in the course of this race. The two of them started right near the front of the GTE field. They've both had issues on different levels, and that, well, being because of that incident at the start, and now they're back together. So almost like fate with these guys. They're very close through Maggots and Beckett's, and somehow this is great defensive driving from Seb Hawkins.
Yeah, he knows exactly where to place the car. He's driving one of the widest Porsche 991 GTE cars I've ever seen. He's doing a great job. But with a circuit as wide as Silverstone, I don't think he'll be able to hold him off for much longer. This is Mikkel Jensen going to the inside, going into Stowe. Can he get the position done? He will have the preferred line on the brakes, just gets the move done, gets the apex, but I don't think Seb Hawkins is going to give up that easy. Does he get the run going down Vale and then in towards Club? He's going left, going right, almost in the rear bumper, locks up in avoidance, gets it back going, but loses all of the momentum he had, and that's the position well and truly done for Mikkel Jensen. So Mikkel, all he's going to be focusing on is seeing what he can do about Jürgen Frank ahead.
And apparently Jürgen Frank is taking advantage of the fact that that wing is slightly crumpled in the right to go really quickly round right-handers. And they're all blaming the fact it's a European track for being clockwise. So everyone in the chat now starting these conspiracy theories about this. Max Coates, unfortunately, has had another issue here. This is going to be a big one in Maggots and Beckett's. Oh, look at it. It's just, he's having a nightmare on the brakes, isn't he, mate?
Yeah, it's we did say at the start it is kind of hard to modulate brake inputs in the Porsche, but it's definitely a tricky one because we know Max is used to going sideways because he drives a Renault Clio Cup car, or used to anyway. So they're no stranger to going sideways. It just seems like he's struggling to keep the Porsche pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, it's easy to do, like you say. We're getting more comments coming in from the YouTube stream from a gentleman called Ethan Dean saying, I watched Australia's version of NASCAR from back in the day and they went clockwise. Absolutely not even kidding. So it does actually, it's almost like the whole drain pipe thing where it rotates one way on this side of the equator and then the other way up there. So it seems like they've done that with NASCAR as well. We're just looking, anyway, there is a motor race going on. We're looking at Alexio Lane at the moment, half an hour in. So a quarter of the race gone. And this battle has not dumbed down one little bit, and Alexi Lane is hoping that he can go fiercely forward and overtake Outer. Just a bit further down the order, McGlone is still with Hawkins actually. This is a good scrap between these pair. McGlone down the inside. Apparently that's not their brightest livery either, Jack. Apparently they do have a Dazzle camo livery.
Well, if that isn't a Dazzle camo livery, I don't know what is, because if I saw that in my mirrors, it'd fill your mirrors, definitely.
I'd have to turn the mirror off.
There are a few little black spots, and I'm guessing they've just decided to fill that up and make it look even more like a highlighter.
Well, you never know. We'll have to ask half the race gone. and see whether some of their guys can get us in. He's just saying, great quality stream as always. Thank you very much, mate. He said he should be practicing for the Nürburgring 24 hours, which is tomorrow, but he's stuck here watching. Well, you've made the right decision, mate. You've made the right decision. We're giving your car some airtime, and hopefully we're going to see Jordan make a move. They are saying send it, Jordan, in the chat, so we'll see any second whether he can send it. These are the closest two cars on track. A bit further down, though, I'll tell you a lie. Spencer Pumpelly and Martin Plowman are close together, about half a second apart. Nice livery on that car, to be honest. There's two of them out there tonight, which is the Fury cars, I believe. I think Derek de Boer is in the other one with the chrome on it. No, I'm mistaken. That's not the Fury Simsport car. Let's just ignore Chaz and just witness the one that we're looking at and just say that it's nice, shall we? Because it certainly does look good with the matte sections on it. As the car in front of their team, Spencer Pumpelly, runs quite wide. Ollie Slade is quite safe from these guys a bit further up the order as Martin makes up a place. Of course, the British GT4 champion, Martin Plowman, so he knows what he's doing in these bits of kit. Maybe not the Porsche, because he might not have driven it before, but yeah, he certainly knows what he's doing in GT4 cars, as here comes Jürgen Frank flying by. You'd never get bored of the sound of that thing, do you?
No, there should just be an audio clip. I want to make that my text tone. I want a Porsche 991 RSR GTE, or however many syllables you want to throw onto the back of it. I want that as my text tone, because, like you said, you'd never get bored of it. And Jordan McGlone, I don't think he is either, but Mikael Jensen, that's quite a major mistake. A very damaged rear wing. That could be a very Max Coates-esque incident on the brakes. Did Martin Plowman help him?
Oh.
That was... that's sort of...
That's on
swings
Mikael
and
for me.
roundabouts there. Yeah, Mikael left Martin no room at all, and Martin had to turn in for the corner at some point. So yeah, it's a little controversial, but I think Mikael could have done a little more to avoid the incident. This is Alexio Lane doing a great job of carving his way through numerous contact. That's going down the hill past Vale. That was who was that? That was
Van
Job
Outert.
Outert. Yeah, that was Job Van Outert. I think being maybe a little too overconfident on the grass, but we'll have to look back to see exactly what happened. His car looks rather second-hand now. Going down the hill, oh, there was very little room there. But then there was a GT4, he literally had nowhere to go. Definitely boxed in. That's a big hit into the wall. Guessing that'll be suspension damage. We'll have to see what happened. We'll ride on board, see what happened. Going
Can't
down
really
towards
see much,
Vale.
can we, over the right? But it's
That
just...
looked like
It's a very, very odd one. We're going to keep having a look back at it. Sorry for everybody that might get bored of it, but to me, I mean, if we just slow it down a sec, so he's gone wide here around the GTE car. Alexio Lane's on the inside, and I think Alexi nearly goes into the back of the GT4 car, and I'm not sure, because he comes back over to the left, does Alexi? He goes down the inside, and then you see
Alexi
him...
left minimal room, to be honest.
He does try and defend it. I think he comes over to the left to block him, and then he doesn't realise that he's coming that quickly. He's off the circuit almost, is Alexio Lane. They do a wonderful little interlocking thing where they go through each other, and then before you know it, Van Outert's off the track, but at the same time, Alexi's car barely has any damage on it. So I'm not sure whether that was something connection-based that caused the contact to be that big, or whether it was just the downright pace of it. But it's such a shame to see an incident like that. That was a really, really strange one. Apparently, there's an incident between car 214 and car number 19 under review at the moment, and that is Martin Plowman and, of course,
Was that Mikael Jensen?
Yes, Mikael Jensen. He's actually given the car over to Loic Hartog now in the other G-Drive car. Well, the other G-Drive driver, essentially, in the GTE. Back at the front, though, Martin van Loozenhoort, well, comes into shot at 4 times the speed of sound, and that's just what Martin does, I suppose. He's a very, very quick driver in a very quick car here, Jack, and, well, there's the speed difference. Look at it. It's just bonkers.
Absolutely crazy. Obviously, it will have hybrid assistance, but that doesn't take away from the fact that that car is absolutely crazy. Screaming past the GTE car, going even quicker past the GTC car, and still pulling away. He's got a gap of 15 seconds to Alexio Lane behind after the incident, but I'm guessing Alexi will he'll probably start thinking about the incident, knowing Alexi, but he won't overthink it. He'll probably be a little bit angry about it, and that will only fuel him to make him drive quicker. So we can't mark Alexi out just yet. Let's hope that Job van Outert does get back out. It was a massive hit into the wall, but with what 1 hour and a half to go, let's hope he gets it back out and and keeps turning the laps. We've got, so that's Carl Sharkey. Yeah, Carl Sharkey, P7 in the GTE class, pushing onto the tail end of Adam Delmont in the Excite iRacing car. This is Barry Baird's incident, isn't it?
Yeah, Steve Clay's went off as well, apparently. Not sure whether it was contact between the pair. Yep. Barry Baird goes around, and then Steve Clay's apparently had an issue of his own as well, not long after that. So whether something goes wrong for him here as he gets out of the way, I'm not sure, but we'll have to just stick with him. He's got a GTE car to his right, GT4 car to his left. Hopefully he doesn't get involved in the GT4 car's mess here. Wow, the P1 flies around the outside. This was just as we... Again, something happens as I cut away from it. Oh, he's lost it on the way in. Loops it, and luckily the fiercely forward car gets out of that. The incident between the number 34 and number 2 cars, Van Outer and Alexio Lane, is being looked at. So we know that something may come of that very soon. It was, it seemed a bit of an unfortunate one, of course, but a bit unnecessary in my opinion. Jack, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it sort of, obviously I do have my own personal opinion on it, but I'm going to obviously have to give you my professional opinion. I think Job Van Outer was a little overconfident going around the outside, but that's racing. If you're not going to go for a move, there's no point. So we know Job Van Outer is a quick guy. He was in P2 and he's had great success in real life racing. So we can see he's straight back out. And I'm sure with 1 hour 30 to go, strategy will end up keeping him in the race. I know you've been keeping a keen eye on the YouTube chat, and I've been looking over the Facebook chat. So thank you to everybody watching on Facebook. We've got John Warner. He's saying we're doing a great job on commentary. So thank you very much, John.
Thank you, John.
It's great to see everybody in the Facebook chat. We've got 25 people watching on Facebook. I'm not quite sure what the numbers are like on YouTube, Chaz.
Yeah, we have at the moment 124 viewers on the YouTube chat at the moment. A lot of people thanking us for what we're doing and giving their opinions on the incidents and what happened. It seems like there's quite a debate going on about it at the moment. So that's always nice to see. You know, it's good to get people involved. It's good for everyone to voice their opinions, and you know, we want the engagement. We want to make sure that people are enjoying themselves, know what they're thinking. I just want to have a look down the order a little bit at some of the drivers we've not looked at. We've not really looked at some of the GTC leaders. We've got 2 HM engineering cars leading the way in that one. So we've got Kieran Harrison leading that. Jordan Weeks is back up to second now, so great drive from him so far, with Lewis Ward there in third, who we were just looking at earlier. And he's got Jürgen Frank. Well, yeah.
You'll get to, sorry to put in front of you, but if you keep going, you'll get to Glenn Van Parijs, and he is definitely under pressure from Steve Clays now. These guys pretty much closer than ever, still dealing with GTE and GT or LMP1 traffic, and I'm sure there'll be some GT4 traffic that makes its way into the mix. But these guys, Glenn Van Parijs and Steve Clays, are separated by 0.3 of a second, and Tom Metwell is only a second up the road. So we're quickly building a trio, and this is for 7th in class.
Just shows you that the battles aren't all about the ones at the front. Half the race gone is just saying, do leave a like for Sim Racers World, Chaz and Jack, for having put together this excellent event. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. And yeah, of course, thank you to Sim Racers World for getting us on board. Thank you for PorscheSport for being involved as well, and Strasser for sponsoring the event. We're very, very grateful for everybody that does help us do what we love doing. And at the moment, we've got a fantastic race going on. Steve Clay's, well, really, really closing there on the back of Glenn Van Parijs. And just in front of him is Tom Metherell in the Meraki Racing Cup Car. So it's really kicking off between these guys here, Jack. And you never know, this could turn into a 3-car fight. The P1 car not quite knowing where to go there. And you're going to see that that is the case a lot of the time through this race. Look at it weaving through traffic. It's brilliant to watch. But yeah, these Cup cars are seeming to just hold quite a steady pace. I mean, the battles don't seem too over the top at the moment, which is probably nice for those guys. Max Coates again having an issue, I'm afraid. We have just been asked, where's Martin van Ruik in this race? I believe that, oh, actually it was him that asked in the chat. So there you go. I've completely been had off there. Fair enough, Martin. And yeah, Mr. Steve Brown, known as Super GT on YouTube, was going to be in the event, but he's had issues getting things set up, unfortunately, and didn't get the time to practice, so he did back out of the event, I'm afraid. But it would have been good to see him out there, but hopefully we'll see him if there is another one of these events. One driver I did want to have a look at that we hadn't seen. Oh, Matthias de Tiege is off. In the car with my logo on it as well. I'll be having words. We'll see what happened to Matthias de Tiege. Jack, let us know what you see.
I'm guessing it, yeah, he just hit the inside curb, obviously using the apex, just unsettled the car a little bit. It might be a bit of trail braking, may have left his foot on the brake a tiny bit too long, but he gets it all collected up. Once again, we're seeing the Porsche getting thrown around to get pointing in the right direction. Didn't have many cars surrounding him, so he got back out on track, and I'm sure he'll be back up to pace pretty soon. We did see earlier, obviously, Bart Daleman working his way through the GTC cars, and it really just shows patience is a virtue. Once again, trying to get past the GT4 car, does it with ease. But it does show, yeah, patience is a virtue. He just sat behind them. Yes, he lost about a second and a half, but from what he would lose if he made contact, he's done a great job. Absolutely amazing view. You can see how low to the ground this car really is, using all the track and a little bit more, getting past a Meraki GTE car, followed by a Meraki GTC car, catching up to a Meraki, oh no, this isn't a Meraki, that's a Nomad GTE car. So a real range of liveries on show, but Bart Daleman, I'm pretty sure, doesn't matter what livery he's driving, or it doesn't matter what livery he's battling, as long as he is behind the wheel of a SRW car, he's going to drive it quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's a very talented sim racer. As Bart Daleman, I've raced against him in a lot of things. When I first came across him in a sim race, we were very similar in pace, and just since then he's just improved and improved. Just at the top of the screen as well, actually, I've not mentioned it yet. You can see the fastest laps per class that we have at the moment. We have Alexio Lane just coming in the pit lane now, by the way. He's going to be the first, well actually the second car to pit, because Chris Walsh has also pitted, and of course Job van Auter also pitted before after his incident. The fastest lap in LMP1 then 1:41.0, and then 16 seconds slower than that is GTE. Then you go another 6 seconds slower for GTC, and another 8 seconds slower for GT4. So the difference between LMP1 and GT4 about half a minute round here, Jack, and that's quite difficult to comprehend. I know that most of this race has just been two commentators talk about how fast a Porsche 919 is compared to everything else in the race, but it really does nail it home that it's half a minute faster a lap.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know it's a long circuit, but they're absolute rocket ships. The amount of downforce that they've got, and like you've already mentioned, the mechanical grip really does make the car. We've seen, obviously, I know I have, and I'm pretty sure you have, Chaz, but if anybody in chat has seen it as well, the Porsche 919 Evo, the unrestricted LMP1 car that Porsche did as a test, set the fastest lap around the Nordschleife and Spa as well.
Yeah.
So you can really see what Porsche can do without restriction. So they definitely, all they've got to do is rein it in a bit and get to the point where it's going to be competitive and meet the restrictions of the various championships. And they've definitely done it right. Obviously, we're not going to see any Audis out on track today with it being an all Porsche event, but we definitely know what the Porsches can do. I'm really looking forward to an event where we see the Porsche LMP1 and the Audi LMP1 going head to head. This is Chris Walsh making a mistake. That's a very odd crash going out of club. Does collect the wall in the end. It looked like the tail just stepped out. It's almost like the AstroTurf unsettled the car or gave him a little lack of grip. Very, very skeptical rejoin in front of what I think was Martin Plowman in the GT4 car. We'll go back to Steve Clays, working his way through the loop, heading towards Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight. Still sliding it, a commentator's curse, going through the loop. Gets his foot put through to the floor a little too early and rotates the car, gets it pointing the right way, but all that hard work has just been undone for Steve Clays. So I'm pretty sure he'd be quite disappointed. We'll go back to Josh Cam. He is, where is he in class? He is P4 in class, I believe. It's just Adam Delmont is still apparently GTC on my screen.
Yes, P4 for him at the moment.
Okay.
Delmont is 8th in the GTE class as things stand in the Excite car. We've not actually really looked at these guys since qualifying, to be honest. Loic Hartog is the next car back in class. He is 7.5 seconds down. But it looks like Max Coates has had enough for the day. He's gone in the pit lane and he will be giving the car to his teammate Bradley Burns, the TCR and Clio Cup driver. And look who is in the number 46. Juan Manuel Santabaya joins us in the number 46 Banzu RX Flow LMP1 car, the all-carbon livery, which I'm a huge fan of. Looks very, very tasty. He's now joined in the GTC cars. When you join a race halfway through like this, Jack, what do you think goes through a driver's mind? Because everything's already sort of unfolded. but there's plenty to go. By the way, Van Loosenorder's pitted and Harrod is now in the pits as well. But what do you reckon goes through their heads at this point?
It will definitely be, at this stage in the race, we're not even halfway, it will definitely be patience. It's going to come back to that, it's just patience in an LMP1 car, because you've got the speed on the straight and you've definitely got the speed in the corners. So losing half a second, a full second to a bit of slower traffic, there's really no need to throw it up the inside. And obviously your car's going to be cold as well, and it's going to be heavy with a full fuel tank. So it's really just got to be patient, let the car warm up and get yourself into a flow and then start pushing. But your first couple of outlaps, there's really no need to push hard. I'm 90% sure that these drivers know it. We have seen a couple of questionable outlaps, but we do know these guys are hitting the road hard. And like we've seen, we've got Juan Manuel Santabaya back out on track, and he's keeping his nose clean and pushing on.
Yeah, it's good to see such a good start to a race for these guys. You know, it's you've got to really crack on with it straight away. And these guys are absolute professionals at that. Just have a quick look on here at Van Outer, who is making his way back up now. 6th overall, of course, 6th in class. It'd be quite a feat if any of these got ahead of the 919 in terms of other classes, wouldn't it? Oh, he's a bit deep in there. Scares the life out of one of the GT4 cars. That was actually the class leader, Maxime Ramstein, in the HM Engineering 729. I don't know if he's got a headlight flashing button set up on his wheel, but if he did, he'd be absolutely pushing it through the wheel at the moment. We've got a couple of guys that are flying around at the moment.
Was Glenn Van Parijs working his way past the GT4?
Yeah.
That's Maxime Ramstein, but he's not wanting to let Tom Mettrel get away. 1.5 seconds is the gap between those two, and Steve Clay's obviously, after that earlier incident, is now 8.5 seconds back from Glenn Van Parijs. We've got quite a good little pattern going on the timing stream. We've got Barry Baird, followed by Seb Hawkins, Jordan McClone, Carl Sharkey, and Adam Delmont, all Brits. Then we get to Loic Hartog, a Dutch driver, I believe. Is it Flemish? Yeah. And then we get to Kieran Harrison, Jordan Weeks, Lewis Ward, Josh Cam and Tom Mettrel. So another group of 5 British drivers. And much like the Formula 3 race last night, if you didn't see it, please do feel free to go back and re-watch it after, obviously, after all the action is finished here today. We've got four Belgian drivers, Glenn Van Parijs, Steve Claes, Matthias de Teese and Ruben van Buel.
Got some lovely patterns going on. Glenn Van Parijs, like you say, first of them. Oh, Lewis Ward and Jordan Weeks have changed places. Jordan's had an issue there. He's just he just came back on track. I'm not sure whether he looped it.
Martin Plowman-esque incident.
Oh no, he gets clipped by the 919. Runs a bit wide. I think he might have been just sort of bargaining on it going through really quickly. Yeah, I think it was.
In the SRW.
And he loses a place in class because of that and now drops to 3rd. Dan McCauley asks, well, he says, great broadcast so far. Thank you, Dan. Is there any live timing for this? I believe one of the guys will get you the link for it, mate. See whether we can pop that in the chat. Last time we had the live timing up, though, it didn't work for us at this end, unfortunately. Not sure why. We'll see whether we can get it working, though. At the moment, though, Kieran Harrison, it's a bit of an untouchable performance. I mean, our class leaders, as things stand, as Loic Hartog just goes past Adam Delmont, the class leaders have been really untouched in all cases at the moment, haven't they, Jack? It's been very, very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. They're pretty much dominating from start until now. We've obviously got Martin van Loosenor just leading from the front by still 15 seconds. So Alexei Lane not letting him pull away to a massive extent, but he's been out front since the start. Bram van Putten been at the pointy end of the field. You did ask the question in qualifying how I thought Bram van Putten would do, and I did say he'd be at the pointy end, but I wasn't expecting him to be 12 seconds out in front and building his lead. So he's definitely got his head down. Adam Delmont still leading. Is that Adam Delmont? No, Adam Delmont is the one that's in the wrong class, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, Kieran Harrison leading the way in the HM Engineering machine. He's obviously doesn't have his teammate behind him anymore. Jordan Weeks has lost out to Lewis Ward in the Meraki Racing number 97 Porsche GTC car. And Maxime Ramstein leading the GT4 class.
Yeah, it certainly is nice to see some of these guys doing so well in their respective classes. It's not easy because, you know, the pressure of leading these things is massive, no matter what, really. you can have a small lead or a large lead, no matter what. The pressure's always there. And yeah, we've just had a bit of an issue with the timing link. There's a little bit of a different part of the HTML at the end, which is not the HTML, the URL. But I work in SEO and link building, I should know that. Anyway, we're looking at Hartog here with Sharky just in front. We'll go on board. Down the hangar straight towards Stowe. That Porsche looks so good from the back. I'm sorry, but it just does. That's the Strasser machine. Nicely done on the brakes there. Hartog straight through. Speaking of Strasser, by the way, Lindsay Dobby joins us in the chat. Good to see you, Lindsay. Thank you very much. He says, great job, commentary team. Lindsay Dobby is the one I've been communicating with from Strasser in terms of getting everything set up and having all the info we need. And Race Direction say, thank you for the link. Thank you. The Mew says, that's a very cool live timing screen. Nice one, guys. Thank you. It's all courtesy of SDK Gaming, who put the overlay and the timing together. It is an amazing bit of software, and it makes us look very professional, which is always what we want, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to look professional. We can always have a laugh, definitely. Obviously, we've picked favourite names, so we find that that point between professional and having fun, which is great. Obviously, for everybody watching, this is Spencer Pumpley having a slight issue. This is coming out of Lovefield, just grabs the gravel. Oh, and a big hit into the wall. That has definitely put a damper on what was a decent recovery drive. He was in P33 overall, I think, at the time of the incident. P7 in class, but he'll have dropped back down now. This is Martin van Loosnoord still leading the way from Alexio Lane. The gap is now 20 seconds, so he's got the bit between his teeth, and he's pushing hard. Lapped 2/10 quicker than Alexi behind, so I'm guessing Alexi might have a bit of damage from earlier on, but he has pitted, so he could have got that fixed. You did mention that you were expecting Max Coates to hand over to his teammate, but as of yet, he is still sat in the pits, and he is still sat. No, he is. No, he's not in the pits. On my timing screen, he's grayed out as if he was in the pit.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's back out on the track and pushing on.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see that. Maybe he's just come in and got some repairs, sorted all that out. And Van Outer has just overtaken Nick Shermans for P5. Let's have a look at how he got that done. Wow, he's quite a way back here at this point. We'll go on the nose cam because I quite enjoyed that. Oh, he's just run wide there as Shermans. And before we know it, this is the thing, we're trying to commentate and watch these 919s. They're that fast. You try and change a camera, make it look nice. They're already gone. They've already disappeared off your screen and left you for dead. I mean, look at that around the GT4. That was close. Wow, that was almost unnecessarily close there. We've seen Van Outer have that incident before with Alexio Lane. Nick Shermans could have had a very focusing moment there. This got a little bit sketchy between these boys, didn't it? That was Louis Hanker and Ben Thayens has now been given a lifeline by these 919s going through the LMP1 cars, and through he goes. And that will be third place in class there, Jack. He's not going to take it lying down though, is he, Louis?
No, battling for the last spot on the podium. We've seen great drives from Lou before in the SRW Sim Races, in the SRW GT Pro Series. Very, very good at getting Ben Thaynes slowed down before the apex at Vale and Club. Going through the final corner to tick off another lap. We're only on lap 30, believe it or not, almost an hour into the race, and we've only completed 30 rotations of the Silverstone circuit, but it is 5.8 kilometers long. And it does sound like quite a long way, but in an LMP1 car, it does go by rather quickly. Like we've seen previously the fastest lap of the race for 1 minute 41.0. We've had an incident for Liam Silkstone a little further back, so we'll have to have a look to see what happened to him.
Yeah,
but other than that...
apparently it's just come up that he's crashed as well. Let's have a look at what happened. So he's in the GT4 car, another car that we've not really seen that much at the moment, the iRacing orange machine. Oh, he's on the grass there. That's going to be a nightmare. It's going to catch the tarmac. Oh, it goes the other way. At least it goes that way, though, and not into traffic. So
definitely,
I think I'd rather him do that, to be honest. And he waits patiently for everybody to go through. And he's back out on track now. There, just going past him, is Jürgen Frank, who is now up to second place in class here, Jack. And there's been no pit stops for GTE yet. That's just on pure pace for Sim RC DE Titan. That's amazing stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. He's been doing a great job, an amazing recovery drive. While this has been going on, obviously we've been keeping an eye on him. There seems to be a bit of action going up and down the field. I had a notification saying Nick Sherman's went into the pits, but I think that's just SDK getting a little confused with pit entry. Um, and I was just about to say, Derek DeBoer has had an incident. This is once again, we've seen this before at the loop. Does he touch the grass as we saw on the previous lap? Yes. Joe, he spins into traffic. A very bumpy ride, Derek. Thankfully, goes the right way. Yes, he does go onto the gravel, and that will slow him down a little bit. I think he's had another incident, possibly going into
Yeah, actually, let's have a look again.
going into Brooklands.
He's having a bit
Or
of a
maybe
nightmare at the moment.
yeah. Let's see what happened. Going into Brooklands, LMP1 traffic behind, going very sideways. Does he keep it pointing in the right direction? Narrowly avoids some LMP1 traffic. Gets it pointing the right way and hitting the road again. I did say that he did go the right way and going through the gravel, but I'm pretty sure he didn't feel that way.
No, definitely. And he goes off again afterwards as well. So having a bit of trouble at the moment with the car is Derek DeBoer. Hopefully you can get it figured out. And at least it's not gotten in a wall, though, I suppose. Bart Daleman says, "We survived the first stint. What an accomplishment." Well, very well done, Bart. We hope it continues to go well for you. We're going to see him hand over the car. And he will be flying around again very shortly, I believe. Now, Jürgen Frank is 12 seconds off Bram Van Putten, who is doing a great job at the moment, it has to be said, Jack, leading the way in the #1 car in GTE.
Yeah, definitely. He's not necessarily been lapping the quickest in his class, but he's been lapping the most consistent. I've been keeping an eye on his laps as soon as they pop up, and as we've seen before, time and time again, it's in endurance racing. It doesn't matter whether you're the quickest car on track, as long as you're consistent, you can keep it clean and keep on churning out the laps. You'll rise to the top, and that's what Bram Van Putten has done. He's got a 12-second lead over Jürgen Frank behind, and obviously Jürgen is on a charge to make amends for the incident at the start. This is Adam Delmont pushing really hard to see if he can find a way past Carl Sharkey in the Strass Motorsport car. Beautiful livery with the spec map. This is Adam looking to the inside at Abbey. The move doesn't present itself, but it looks that was some GT4 traffic does hinder Carl Sharkey, and that is Adam Delmont getting the move done, but I don't think Carl is going to let him get away with it that easily. Obviously, Carl will now have the draft assistance going towards the Wellington Straight, so we'll see what he can do. He looks to get the better run, uses a bit too much curb, gets rid of all the momentum he had, but going onto the Wellington Straight, like I've already mentioned, he will have the draft. Can he get the move done going into Brooklands? He's a little too far back, I think. 2/10 is the gap between them. Can he do anything on the brakes? He has a look, but pulls out of the move. So clever driving from Carl. Tucks back in and lives to fight another day.
We've also got this battle going on here between Glenn Van Paris and Tom Metherell of the Meraki team. So close. Glenn just giving him absolutely no room. He says, "Look, I'm in front, mate. You're going to have to just go around me." And he's going to try and do just that, is Tom Metherell for Meraki Racing 117. Side by side now. These two have been battling all race long, really, Jack. They're in the mid-pack of the GCC class, and really showing that these endurance races aren't all about going completely easy. Max Coates, by the way, just making his way back through the order. He's just gone past Ruben van Buell in the Sim Racers World Buell Brothers car. But yeah, like I said, these pair, the exciting pair in the GTC class at the moment as we go back on board with Tom Metherell.
Yeah, definitely working his way through cops. These cars do sound amazing. I think it's just all the Porsches that really sound. They've got the sound bang on. Do Porsche? I'm sure they put more effort into what the car sounds like than how it performs. And that's not a dig, because the car performs absolutely amazingly and it sounds even better. But I'm pretty sure that isn't even a thought in Tom Metherell's mind as they go down the hangar straight. We've had an issue for Chris Walsh. We'll see what happened to him in his Soul Performance racing car.
Whoa.
Wow, that's a very awkward issue. We've had a very similar incident for him before coming out of club. This time it was coming out of the loop. Thankfully gets across the track before anybody else collects him, but he gets it pointing the right way. We have seen him have rear end issues, take that how you will, coming out of Club 4. But he gets it pointing the right way again after touching the grass coming out of the loop and the car snapping either way. This is Spencer Pumpley. We've seen an issue for him. Very similar incident that we saw for him earlier as well, coming out of the loop. This was at Stowe by the looks of it after the hangar straight. Gets it pointing the right way. Once again, chalking off another lap in the books. You just see that battle a little further up. Still taking place. This is Tom Metherell deciding what he's going to do about Glenn Van Paris behind. I think he actually got in front on that previous lap. We did miss that. I'm guessing that was at the hangar straight. because we saw those two going nose to tail down the hangar straight. Oh, that was Glenn Van Perrie going very, very deep into club and loses all the momentum, and that's Tom Metherell squeezing by, just finds the room and keeps it going again. This is Jordan McLean. He's not leading the way. He's in P5 in the Team Simpact Porsche 991 GTE.
There's 9s and 1s in there somewhere, aren't there? There's so many of them.
There is.
It's brilliant. But this is back to Tom Metherell, though. Him and Glenn are constantly changing places, and it's great to watch. Really, really exciting stuff. The Meraki livery looking very tasty on the car. The nice metallic blue sections of it. It was painted by Andy Hopley, who runs the Sim Racers World TCR series and does a cracking job with that, and races in it as well. And I did do a video for these guys. You'll have to look at one of our previous broadcasts for that. But some fantastic battles going on here. So many guys swapping places on our little timing screen in the bottom right. There has been a link posted, by the way, in the YouTube chat if you want to see the live timing. A bit of inside info as well from a friend of mine that has commented on this. Whenever I choose which car we're looking at on the stream, it does affect what gaps you will see on the live timing. So it's not having any issues or any mistakes, don't worry. It's just that it will show from any gaps from that car that I choose. So you're not losing your minds, and neither is the software, don't worry. But you'll have to just do a bit of thinking when you're using that. Bart Delman is back out on track now in 7th position overall. He has Chris Walsh 1 minute and 5 seconds up the road here, Jack. So I'm not sure whether something's gone completely wrong here, but that's a lot of time to have lost, considering that they've only had 1 pit stop and Chris has had 2.
Yeah, definitely. I know Bart Daleman did do the first stint, and I thought I saw him hand over to his teammates, Nick Sherman's. But Bart is now back in the car, so I'm not 100% sure what happened there, but they've lost a hell of a lot of time. So maybe Nick had a slight hardware issue, as we've seen before. We did mention it at the start of the race. It could be something that takes effect. Obviously, it's not something we like to see, but it's what we've got to put up with. And it seemed like a very, very short stint for Nick. And obviously, we've got Bart back in the car, and he's pushing as much as he can to catch up to Chris Walsh. But yeah, like you mentioned, that's a massive gap, certainly, to have put itself forward.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened. I'm just scrolling through to try and find anything in our timing screen, but it doesn't look like anything severe has gone on, to be honest. Very, very strange. As we've had from the Mew in the YouTube chat, that's half the race gone. So a shout out for his username as well, half the race gone. But it certainly is. We're an hour into the books already. Now, I won't lie to you, Jack, and I won't lie to anybody on the stream watching. To me, the first half hour seemed to go very, very slowly because there was so much going on, and it seemed very compact for half an hour. But I don't know where that second half hour has gone. Do you?
No, it's gone way too quickly. We need to sort of push our elbows into PorscheSport and Strasser, because I want to do this again. We've not even finished the first event, and I want to do this again. It's been an absolutely great event so far, and if we have half the amount of action we've had in the first half, in the second half, it'll be a great race. This is Glenn Van Perrie getting past Tom Metherell into, well and truly into Stowe. Already built out a pretty sizable gap, almost half a second. Gets the position made. Much stronger on the brakes was Glenn Van Perrie. And going into Club and Vale to chalk off another lap. He's got his head down and he's pulling away.
Yeah, he's certainly got the focus on now, but all it takes is one mistake. We've seen it all before. We're getting a lot of cars coming in and out of the pits now, by the way, in GTE. Bram Van Putten comes in. Jürgen Frank also in the pit lane. PJ Claessens and Barry Baird just coming in too. So all the GTE cars coming in. Brian Holmes is already in his pit box, actually. I'm not sure whether I think he's actually just about to complete his pit stop and leave. So he's 1 lap ahead of these guys in terms of that. Apparently Esme Hawkey has passed Ian Roots, who is the race director. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there. But yeah, we click on Esme Hawkey, still not in the race. That's not a phantom. I'm not sure what's going on. We'll go back to Glenn Van Perrie, though. And this battle with Tom Metherell is not going away here, Jack. We're getting comments as well. Lindsay Dobby of Strasser says, thanks Sim Racers World TV, enjoyed my first time here, great job. Thank you very much, Lindsay. And the Mew says, first half, awesome, both racing and commentary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. Thank you everybody for your comments. We do appreciate it. Keep them coming in, not just about us, but the racing as well, because I think you'll all agree, and you will as well, Jack. This has been a hell of a good start to the race. Oh, Lane. Alexio Lane, you cheeky little sausage. 141.066. And, well, he's finished. What do you expect?
Yeah, he'll. I think I know what he's racing for. He's not racing for a trophy or anything like that. He's racing for the alcohol he gets on the podium. He posted pretty much exactly the same lap that Martin van Loosnord did. He was. Let me have a look. He was 5 thousandths quicker than Martin van Loosnord on his in terms of a fastest lap. So a great lap from Alexio Lane. While he's done that though, Martin van Loosnord has set a purple sector 3. So he's really pushing on now. So these guys, there's still 22 seconds separating them. So Alexi is still dropping back, not to the same extent as he has done before. But I'm pretty sure if, like we've already mentioned, if these guys are going to go to the end, personally, I can't see it happening. But if these guys are running a strategy to the end, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, definitely. It's these races never get easier for any of these guys. You know, it's not quite as easy as doing a 15-minute sprint and just caning it all the way there. But I mean, look at Alexi Lane here. It's just on the edge through Maggots and Beckett's. It puts a smile on my face watching these things. It may be just in a sim, but wow, absolutely, it's just bonkers. Absolutely bonkers, the speed. And the concentration involved as well. The reaction times in these cars. You need to be properly on it. One of my favourite parts of these streams, by the way, is when we bring up the track map and you just see the absolute Christmas tree rainbow that is what Silverstone has become. You can see the gap between some of these guys. You see the red number 1 now just going down the national straight. Look how quick that thing goes down the straight as well on the map. Even that's quite scary, but the difference there between first, second and then third is still going through Maggots and Beckett's. That is Pete Harrod and the CQR Club car. I've not seen much of Pete so far, to be honest. He's been a bit under the radar, but that's how he was at Le Mans until he won the thing, so you never know. Anything can change here, can't it, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. You can't really predict what happens. We've said that so many times, and we're going to end up saying it again. You really cannot predict what happens in these races. Pete Harrod started a little further down the class than I'm guessing he would have liked to, but he's shown that just keeping it consistent, keeping it clean, and a bit of strategy can get him back in the running. This is Louis Hankett throwing it to his firstly forward machine into the pit. Very brightly coloured, firstly forward livery, not the standard regime of colours that we'd normally see. But he just gets it stopped in time. I thought he was going to overshoot his pit stall there. Taking tyres, cars up on the jacks. So I'm guessing he'll be heading back out on track fairly soon. We've got Max Coates has got himself back into his class running. He now doesn't have a GTC car ahead of him. All he has are GTE cars. So I'm sure he's getting his head down and pushing on. So great to see that even after the previous incident, he's got it back going. Very odd sounding noise in the background. I'm guessing that was just a Porsche changing down a gear, but
Yeah.
I thought someone had got it pointing the wrong way.
Yeah, it did. It sounded a bit suspect, didn't it? We've not had any reports of anyone going around. Someone who I do want to point a little bit of attention to, Simon Underhill, has jumped in the Nomad Sim Racing Porsche, and he did tell me earlier, not just because he's jumped in it, we're going to have a quick look. He did tell me that there's a message on the back of the car, but unfortunately for Simon, he's put it upside down. It is basically a thank you to the NHS for everything they're doing at the moment. They're doing an incredible job while this whole outbreak is going on, and you know the commitment that they've put towards it is, well, it's quite a bit more than Martin van Loosnord's just put in Sector 2 because he's just on a purple sector.
Yeah, definitely. Can't really say thank you enough for the work they're doing. So thank you very much to any key worker that is or isn't watching the stream. Just thank you for what you're doing. You keep everything running and keep everything going. I think, well, obviously, we'll have to move on. Max Coates has had another incident. I'm guessing that would possibly be on the brakes. We've seen it happen before. Let's have a look back to see what he's happened now. That's Liam Silverstone has also had an incident. So I'll have to see what's happened to Liam as well. It could possibly be a joint incident. But Liam's definitely lighting up the timing screen. So we might have had a fair few issues going into... he's done it again. Going into... where's this? This is Liam. Yeah, this is at the loop. We've seen it... we've seen Spencer Pumpley had an issue here.
Oh,
That's a very GTC-esque incident. I didn't think the Porsche could rotate it like that without a bit of grass assistance, but gets it pointing the right way again. He apparently crashed. I know he only crashed once. Gets it going the right way again. Just cutting the grass for Silverstone. Very kind of him. gets it on the Wellington straight, gets it back going. You can see the difference. I know he was coming back on track, but the difference between a GT4 and a GTC is absolutely insane. Not as much as a GT4 and an LMP1, but still get what I mean. This is Loic Hartog working his way through Maggots and Beckett's, eventually onto Chapel Curve and onto the Hangar Straight, where we'll really be able to hear that flat six Porsche engine sing. Well, it's more scream than sing, but definitely a glorious sound to behold, Chaz.
Yeah, definitely is. We're just going to have another quick chat with Paul Holroyd of PorscheSport. Welcome back to the booth, Paul. How are we doing?
Great, guys, you?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
really enjoying this. What are you making of the race so far? You enjoying it?
Oh, so far it's been fantastic, hasn't it? I mean, we're getting some great feedback. People obviously asking the question, can we do this again? And like I said at the beginning of the race, maybe we'll be looking at a full championship of this. It's something we're definitely going to be talking about. But so far, it's been close racing. No one's really running away with it as such. There's still a long way to go. It was just a shame at the beginning to obviously see the mix-up with Maxwell in the Pink Pig. Obviously, like you say, he didn't get the memo, and obviously we Esme losing a internet connection. Unfortunately, she had to drop out at the beginning of the race, which was a shame. But apart from that, yeah.
I didn't realise that's what the issue was. I've just seen actually the comment in the YouTube chat. She's going to try and get back in the session, so we should at least see a bit of action on track from Esme Hawkey, but hopefully sooner rather than later. One of the main subjects of this race so far, Paul, is the fact that these Porsche 919 LMP1 cars are just absolute missiles to watch. How do you reckon it'd be being in one of the GT4 cars with these things going past?
I'd imagine it'd be quite scary. I mean, what was it, lap 2 before they started getting lapped on the second lap, which is just crazy, isn't it? But yeah, I mean they're just missiles. They're rocket machines, aren't they? And that's proved it. You know, the second lap into the race and the lap in the GT4s already. I mean, we did talk about originally maybe not putting the GT4s into this race, but I'm glad we did now, really, because it is making some entertainment footage for the viewers to watch as well with all this overtaking.
Yeah, certainly.
I think it proves to me. It also proves that they aren't an easy car to drive, as you can see that even the professional drivers, professional race drivers are finding it hard, and there's a few spins going on with the Caymans.
Yeah, it's great to see, really, because one of the most interesting things about sim racing, and especially when you get a platform as realistic as iRacing, is just how people can adjust to it. You get people that sometimes have they've had experience in a sim, but not in a real car. I mean, take the great Gregor Hutu, for example, legendary in sim racing and in iRacing. He used to be very, very quick in the Skip Barber Formula 2000 cars.
Yeah.
And then he went to do it in real life, not even having a driving test in his life, never driven a car, didn't even have a driver's license, went over there and nearly went as quick as the instructor at the Skip Barber Racing School within a couple of days. And then you get drivers that do the opposite. I mean, I race quite often with British Touring Car champion Ashley Sutton, and he's rapid in iRacing and in real life as well. Some of the drivers, you get the opposite, where they'll be quick in one and not the other. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it? You never know.
I totally agree with you. I mean, like I say, it's just showing it with we've got a great mixture of professional drivers and sim drivers in this race, and it just shows you that it's anything can happen. It would be great to think that once, obviously, all this crisis is over, which is unfortunately going throughout the world, it'd be great to see an event actually of getting the sim drivers and the real drivers actually on a real racetrack.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely up for that. Whether I'm commentating or whether I'm racing, I'm pretty sure. And stick me and Jack in a booth.
Yeah,
doing the reverse to what we're doing now, and seeing the difference there as well. It would, I think that makes for good viewing. That maybe Top Gear or someone should do something like that.
You never know. It depends what the deposit is on one of the cars, I suppose. That's one of the only things we have to think about, really. But yeah, it certainly is a fantastic event. It's working very well. Thank you very much for getting involved as well, and obviously through Luke, who's done a cracking job. He's been giving me little updates in the chat as well. I'm just going to pop you back in to the chat now, buddy, but any last words at this point before you go, as we just see a bit of an incident there with Louis Hanker? in the
Yeah, just
GT4.
once again, thanks to you guys for broadcasting this. It's been a great race, and there's still a lot of racing to go as well, as we're just seeing. So, yeah, thank you very much again, guys.
Yeah, no worries, Paul. No worries. Speak to you again soon, buddy.
Bye-bye.
And if you just caught that there, thank you to Paul, by the way, Louis Hanker has had a bit of a nightmare. I could hear Jack cringing in the background. Yeah. He just lights up the rear there, and the Excite car just taps him around, and it goes into the wall. He does catch the Excite car again. That was Brian Holmes in the number 58, and Louis Hanker goes straight back to the pit lane there. What do you reckon his thinking behind that was, Jack? Because didn't look too damaged. Looks like he could have carried on.
Yeah, and obviously there was the initial loss of control. There could be some underlying damage there, and then he obviously hit the Excite car twice and then collected the wall. And with it being rear end or mid-engined, possibly could have had something to do with it. But I'm not 100% sure. I know what Louis like. If even if he's got half a car left, he will do everything he can to drag it across the line. So he clearly gave him enough incentive to bring it back to the pits, which isn't great to see. But I'm sure he'll be back out. We've still got 45 minutes to go, so plenty of racing still to take place. The field is spread out quite nicely now. There's no major battles. I think the closest cars on the circuit are in, I think it's Kobe Klass and Steve Clays in the GTCs.
Same name, isn't it, really?
Yeah, pretty much. I think those two are the closest. If not, it'll be Jordan McClone and Simon Underhill. But still, no major battles, but sort of underlying battles going on throughout the field, and it will come back to strategy and who can drive the most consistent race, Chaz.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you have to be consistent in these things. You can do the fastest lap of the race, but you could do that once and then be slow for the rest of it, or you could make a mistake that puts you 5 laps down. It's all about the consistency. Joop van Uyter, in the best camera we have at the moment, is sat in the pit lane, getting things ready. He's been in the pits for 55 seconds. His actual stop's been 20 seconds at the moment, so he should get going again very soon. Martin van Loozenord has done another purple sector too, so really, really asserting his dominance at the front of the field at the moment. Kieran Harrison doing just the same in the GTC class for HM Engineering, with his teammate Jordan Weeks 34 seconds back, but still a 1-2 for them. And then they're first and third as well in GT4, as we saw Norbert Leitner before, with Ingmar Andersen was having a great battle with Louis Hanker. Now Ollie Slade is into 4th place in the fiercely forward car. Maxime Ramstein, who was leading that class before, only 1 second behind Ingmar Andersen there, so still close between those guys. Derek de Boer is a bit further down the order. Liam Silkstone in the Excite iRacing orange car. But as Paul was saying, Jack, they have really shown us these GT4 cars, while they're not the fastest, they're not easy to drive, as, something has just kicked off there. I think, Spencer Pompelli just went off track very, very briefly, and it lit up my timing screen red and scared the life out of me for a moment.
Yeah, definitely. I see what he means 100%. They're not that you wouldn't expect LMP1s and GT4s, like I've already said, on the same circuit, but they've made it work, and I'm so glad he did put them in, because the GT4 cars, they're something else. They're at that mix between, they've got plenty of power, don't get me wrong, but they're very much like sort of junior GT cars and tin tops, because you've got to really rely on momentum as well, and I think they require just as much skill to drive as the LMP1 cars. I mean, yes, you've got a little less to think about because you don't have the hybrid deployment available to you, but you've got to be busy in other areas as well, because you've got the LMP1 cars, the GTEs and the GTCs coming up behind you. So you've always got to be looking in your mirrors, focusing on your battle, making sure you don't spin the car, keep it clean, keep it consistent. What's your strategy doing? So you're going to be busy in one of those little GT4 cockpits. So yeah, I think you're going to be busy in any class, but the GT4s and the LMPs are probably going to be the busiest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be fair, going into this race, I thought the GTEs would probably have one of the harder jobs, because there's such a massive difference in speed between them and the P1 cars. They're going to be looking behind them most of the time, and they're quicker than 2 of the other classes as well. So, you've got to think forwards and backwards, but like you say, in all circumstances you have to, because no matter what sort of speed you're doing, at the end of the day in a race you need to be looking forward, don't you, and focusing on what is coming up. You can see Martin Plowman lifting slightly there. Are we going to see a GTE car come through, maybe a GTC?
There's a GT4 behind him, but I think that's Pumpley behind. He is lifting off for a reason I'm not 100% sure about. It could be saving fuel. He did lift off very early though, before I think he was just going under the bridge. So not 100% sure what happened. We might be able to get him in an interview at the end of the race to see what was going through his mind. He could have some insider knowledge that we're not aware of. But we mentioned it at the start of the race that teammates couldn't leave each other alone. Oh, this is your favourite driver. This is Juan Manuel Santabaya. Sorry, not your favourite driver. Your favourite name. It would be wrong to have a favourite
Oh,
driver as a
heck.
commentator. He's collected Josh Cam in the Porsche GT3 Cup Car. Josh keeps it going again. Obviously got major damage on the front and the rear of that car. So that's not 100% sure what happened there. I think, oh, Josh was sticking to his line, so I'm sorry, but I think that was all on Santabaya.
Yeah, I'd say so. That was a massive incident. He just goes through as if he's not there. It was as if he just tried to cut it really fine and really close and go round him. I know that we had a couple of fans of this earlier, but we're going to go for the... Oh, let's go on the right car, shall we? We'll have to try that again. But that was just a monster of an accident. He comes around turn 1 then. We had a few fans of the slow-mo replay before. Takes his racing line as normal. You do run out wide in these Porsche 919s anyway, over the curb a little bit. Now he's going to the right, as if he is going to go round him on the right-hand side. Yeah, but it just doesn't judge it very well, does he? And smacks into the back of it. And then as it bounces down, it's actually on the rear wing of the 919 at this point. Look at it, it's like a balancing act. Chucks it around, churns up the grass. Fortunately for the groundsman, morphs through the actual sort of distance board there. Back over the other side of the circuit. Luckily, not collecting anybody else as well. But a bit of poor judgment there from Juan Manuel Santabaya, unfortunately, and now he's at the end of the lap and in the pit lane. Alexio Lane has done the fastest lap of the race again here, Jack, a 140.8.
Wow.
And bearing in mind that the last lap by Van Loozenhoord was a 143.8, he's 3 seconds quicker than the race leader at this point, or he was on the last lap anyway. We'll see what he does this time. It was a 143.8 by Van Loozenhoord, 143.3, so a bit more realistic this time, but still. What a lap by Alexi Lane, 140.8, sorry.
Yeah, that's crazy. You could have been pushing hard, maybe using an extra bit of hybrid. There could be it could be running a strategy where the hybrid eventually builds up, so you've got to get rid of the extra and get back on par with your strategy. But like I was mentioning before, we got interrupted by a rather sizable incident coming out of or going through Farm Curve. We did mention at the start of the race that teammates like to stick together, and that's definitely been proven right. Norbert Leitner, who we're looking at now in the HM Engineering 719 machine, is followed by his HM Engineering teammate of Maxime Ramstein. Sorry. And then if we go to the class ahead, it's once again another HM Engineering P1, P2. This is Kieran Harrison, followed by Jordan Weeks, still pushing on even after that earlier incident. And then we go to the class ahead, and there's GT3 Exemia, the number 2 of Loic Hartog, is followed by his teammate Bram van Putten in the number 1 GT machine. So it's just teammates sticking together. The only class that hasn't got 2 teammates next to each other is LMP1.
Beautifully executed, if I do say so. Wonderfully done there, mate. And well noticed as well. But, you know, it's a nice theme of the race as we see Pete Herod fly past there in the CQR Club Porsche 919. We're just looking at here. Lindsay Dobby says, well done, Josh. Glad that's not coming into the workshop for repairs on Monday. And that's very, very true. The floor of that thing would have been shredded apart by the rear wing of the 919. The race director has said, incident between LMP1 number 46 and Porsche Cup Car is under review. And then Tito Granher, who is, of course, Juan Manuel's teammate, has very quickly said he's very sorry. But I don't quite think that's going to cut it with the race directors. Alexio Lane shows why he was so fast, and he's back in the pit lane now to do another stop as he stops in his box at the end. Not that these cars carry a lot of fuel. It's actually amazing how good on fuel these P1 cars are. I think they max out at something like 6 gallons of fuel, I think it is. It's tiny amounts, but they do very well. Here's Hartog just making his way through traffic. That is the number 09 GTC car. That is Josh Cam. But you can see the GTC car keeps with it down the straight, doesn't it? I mean, they are nifty little things. They've not got as much downforce or aero, but they certainly do fly in a straight line. I mean, they've been known to keep up with GT3 cars, haven't they?
Yeah, they're crazy quick, and it is a GT3 Cup car, but in theory it's not on par with the common GT3s. I was just about to say that we've seen Max Coates dive into the pits. He had an incident on the previous lap, on his personal lap 38. He went off track a couple of times, but he's got it back going and he's diving into the pits. We've had a question. I did ask if anybody had any questions in the Facebook chat. We've had Mark Johnson for a simulator-related question. He's just put, Jack and Chaz, how different is iRacing to Assetto Corsa or P-Cars 2 for the Porsche's handling? And personally, I think iRacing has got it like pretty much on par because they've obviously developed the tyre model over time and their handling model. So I think Porsche, obviously. I think iRacing have got it pretty much bang on. But have you got any opinions on the matter?
In terms of car 46, by the way, Juan Manuel Santobaya has a drive-through penalty, and that's not for driving through another competitor. That's through the pit lane. In terms of the simulator-based question which we have received, if I'm honest, I don't know in terms of how much Assetto Corsa or Project Cars 2 do in terms of their laser scanning or anything. But iRacing solely do laser scanning, so they meet with the real teams that run these cars in real life, whether that be the teams or the manufacturers. They laser scan the car visually to the nearest millimetre, and then they do all the sound checks from the actual car itself. They do it with the tracks as well. Every single millimetre of track surface you see before you has been laser scanned, and when they do the actual textures of it, they don't just sort of draw what it looks like a bit. Most of it is aerial photographed as well, so they get the actual visual surfaces from there. Like there's a famous oil slick at Alton Park that goes all the way up the hill towards Druids. That is actually there in iRacing as it appears in real life. It has been photographed properly. So when it comes to the handling and the data, I think iRacing does nail it. I mean, you can see, if you compare this broadcast to one of the other simulators, you'll see just how naturally the cars seem to move and how everything flows, and it doesn't look out of place. I mean, personally, there's nothing wrong with it at all. The lighting all looks bang on, and you know, even the motion blur, as we see Pete Harrod fly past, everything just looks natural, doesn't it, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. They've put the work in, and my God, it pays off. But yeah, so Pete Harrod, he is P3 at the moment, pushing hard. He started in P5, so he's been working his way up the field. A very Le Mans-esque drive from him. He was sort of starting at the mid-pack once again at Le Mans, but he's working his way back up. This is Bram van Putten doing what he can against his teammate, Loic Hartog. Obviously, the first rule of sim racing is not to, or the first rule of racing overall is not to hit your teammate, as I think it's also the second rule. But there's only 3 tenths between these guys, 2 tenths. He's going up the inside, being extra careful. Obviously, you don't want to hit your teammate. Bit of GT4 traffic to negotiate. They both get through. Bram van Putten has now taken the lead away from Loic, his teammates. But I'm guessing Loic will just sit in the slipstream, do what he can to keep on their tail, make the most of a bit of fuel saving, and keep it going. This is Bradley Burns. See what happens to Bradley going through Cop's corner. Oh, that snaps one way, snaps the other. Just manages to get out of the way. Oh, big hit in the wall. I thought he was going to avoid that.
Yeah.
The gravel didn't do much for him, and ended up hitting the wall. I think that is the teammate of.
It is Max Coates' teammate. Yeah.
It's. I'm sure. Surely at this point you've got to start blaming the car. I know you don't blame your tools, but at this point it seems like that car is having some sort of mechanical issue.
We've had Lewis in the chat has said drive-through penalty through the pit lane, not another car. Commentators take a bow. Love it. We've actually had some more comments. We're not going to go into this feud because it happens on YouTube comment sections so often, and it hurts my brain. But the whole which simulator is better than the other, we're not going through that. Ethan Dean gave quite a humorous answer though. And just for the record, this is not the continued opinion of me, Sim Racers World, PorscheSport or Strasser. But he says Assetto Corsa's tracks are mostly laser scanned with the exception of Zandvoort. Competiciones are all laser scanned. Project Cars 2 is just a dumpster fire. So while I find that entertaining, I don't share the same opinions, and it's not the opinion of any of us. Others say Assetto Corsa feels like an arcade game. It's too easy. Now, I disagree with that, but we're not going to go into that because I can't drive Assetto Corsa to save my life. However, Bram van Putten can drive a Porsche in iRacing to save his life. As you can see now, he's leading the class. Do you like what I did there? Look at the race leader in GTC, though. Kieran Harrison. I'm going to wait till the P1 car's gone past. There we go. He's been pretty untouchable so far, hasn't he, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. He's led it from the front, even though his teammate got caught up in the first lap incident. Doesn't seem to have phased him. He's keeping it going, negotiating the GT4 traffic as well as he can. We'll see a bit more, showcasing plenty of GT4 overtakes. Just finding the room, going through Aintree. I wasn't expecting him to get through there, but he's done a great job of it. Keeping it pointing the right way in his HM engineering machine, and he's just been doing everything he can to keep the car on the road. And obviously Jordan Weeks, his teammate behind, 36 seconds between them, and that is in theory a pit stop. So obviously they
Yeah.
are teammates, so they're not going to want to battle like to a massive degree. But with only 30 minutes to go, I can't see that gap coming down to a massive extent.
No, no, definitely not. It's looking like a very comprehensive performance so far. We see Pete Harrod there in the pit lane just making his stop. Dan McCauley, good friend of mine, has jumped on the opportunity to tell me that I can't drive iRacing to save my life either. And I'd like to say he's wrong, but he's not. So let's just glaze over that. Felix Luding, by the way, is only 2 seconds behind Loic Hartog now. So while Loic did give his teammate the chance to go through and didn't really fight it very much, and Felix has got quite an easy podium position here with a 20-second lead over PJ Clayson's. He's in with a shot against second here and upsetting this this 1-2 pattern that we've got going on.
Yeah, he will disappoint me a little bit here. I've been enjoying keeping up with the teammates at P1, P2, P1, P2, and P1, P2 up and down the classes. But not to take it away from Felix, he has been driving an absolutely amazing combat drive. He was dropped right the way back, pretty much. I think he was last in class after the first lap incident. But it hasn't phased him at all. Getting slightly angry at the LMP1 car by the looks of it, flashing his lights coming out of the loop.
Damn it, Pete.
No damage on his car at all. But there's the gap. You can literally see the gap from Felix to Loic, and it's only going to get closer from here. And although I said Brammer's got by and Loic was going to sit in the slipstream, it doesn't look like Brammer's going to give him the time of day. He's just going to disappear into the distance and leave Loic a little bit vulnerable to the advances of Felix.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. We'll keep an eye on how that develops. I've just been told as well to watch Tom Metherell. He's on fresh tyres now in his GTC Cup Car, and apparently he's gaining about a second a lap on Kobe Claes in front of him, or Class, however you say it. We've got Class and Claes, which basically have the same name together in Class, funnily enough. So that's Class. Ruben Van Buell, I've heard the name before, and even though that car's got my logo on it, which probably hinders it, he's not really been setting the screens on fire at the moment. He's only 6 seconds off Josh Cam in the Strasser Motorsports car, but he's not really been putting in the fastest times of the day. Obviously, he's still keeping it on track. I was not expecting Alexi Lane to come into shot then. That scared the life out of me. Through he goes. See you later, boys. I'll send you a letter in a bit. Gregory Vranks is just ahead of Josh Cam in his class, coming around the final corner. Gregory, a very fun driver to watch in the Sim Racers World TCR series. He's one of those drivers that he's just there in the race, and you know, he'll start maybe in the top 10, not really too flamboyant or anything, just everything under control, and then before you know it, at the end he's third, and then all of a sudden he's just made his way up the order and through. And look at how well judged that was by Martin. We've not got Martin van Loosenor, by the way. This is Jeroen Kweekel. Now, Jack and I watched Jeroen at Le Mans, and I don't think we picked our jaws up off the floor for another hour afterwards, mate, did we? They were absolute. Jeroen is just on another planet in this car, isn't he?
He's crazy. 100% knows what he's doing. And although it was slightly unlucky towards the end of the Le Mans race, it hasn't hindered him at all. He's just got behind the wheel of his Porsche 919, and even after Alexi was, I think he was 36 seconds behind, he's still only 18 seconds behind. So whether Alexi has also followed him into the pits, but Jeroen Kweekel, he knows what he needs to do, well and truly, and he's just doing it in the G Drive machine. He's pretty much leading from the front by 18 seconds now, and behind Alexi, obviously you've got Pete Harrod, the CQR Club driver, 1 minute 18 adrift. So the only real danger for Jerome, is 18 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Dan McCauley, teammate of Pete Harrod's, has said he's going 2 laps longer on fuel than the other guys in front, so he wonders how that'll play out in the long run. We've just been asked for the track map. There it is, so you can see the positions. I'll show you them class by class at the moment, or I'll try to anyway. Bear with me 1 second. No, okay, so apparently we won't. basically the red ones, of course, the LMP1 cars, green GTE, blue GTC, and the orange are the GT4 cars. And I know what we can do to sort this out. Just bear with me. So there's the positions.
Gonna have to put it in front of you a little bit, Chaz, but Queekle, he's only just dived in the car, and he is on fresh tyres, and he's obviously had a windscreen tear off because we've now got a beautiful clear view of the Silverstone circuit. But obviously the car is going to be heavier, but I don't think that is even going to bother Queekle because he's set a purple sector 1. We'll see what he does in sector 2 as soon as he crosses the timing beam to see sort of how he rates up to the other drivers. Obviously we'll work our way through Lovefield, head towards Woodcut, and then accelerate towards Copse. We'll see what he does. I think it's the old start-finish line. He was just overtaken by Job van Outert, his teammate, going through Copse. So he hasn't done a massively quick sector 2, pardon me. And he's definitely pushing on now. But to set a purple sector 1 on your first flying lap, that's definitely something.
Oh, that's commitment. Commitment on another level. But look at these G-Drive cars together. I mean, they may do this properly, but it's just unbelievable pace. Unbelievable. But we say that Jeroen Queekle was flying and showing us how it's done. It just goes to show you as well that Job van Outert certainly knows what he's doing as well. It's a joy to watch these two go together. I wonder if a helicopter can keep up with them. We'll go on the chopper cam. And if we look at the right car, that'd be a great shout, wouldn't it? There you go. So this is Jeroen Queekle and chasing down his teammate from the chopper cam. We'll just move the track map out of the way slightly. And the racing lines that these guys take, I mean, watch them through the first 2 corners. They're just so smooth. They just turn in, nail it on the inside, tiny bit of curb on the outside, and then get it stopped for village. And it's just textbook, isn't it? Absolutely textbook. And to see them both together in flying formation is really quite the sight.
It really is. It's almost like deja vu. I remember it's sort of the quality of iRacing obviously as well, but the deliveries and everything, it's sort of deja vu back to either an ELMS round or a WEC round. They're just nose to tail, taking pretty much exactly the same lines. You can tell they've really put in the effort and put in the time and sacrificed whatever time they have at home at the moment to practice and make sure they've got the circuit down, and it's really showing because they're ballistically quick. That was Jeroen Queekle just managing to get around some GT4 traffic before the start finish straight, and then the old start finish straight, and then working his way through Copse. And it seems at this point he's more than happy just to sit in the draft of his teammate of Job van Outert, who has obviously unlapped himself. So he is in theory back onto the lead lap, albeit by around half a second. But I think this might just be me, but it does seem a little bit like a bit of team orders here. Well, I say that as Job van Outert just disappears into the distance, but it seems like he's holding back a little bit and just letting Jeroen save a bit of fuel, possibly a bit of hybrid as well, and just seeing what that can do for the strategy in the closing stages of the race.
Yeah, you're right there, actually. It's quite an interesting thing to think about. Obviously, Van Outert is 1 minute and 40 seconds down, which is, as you can see visually, just about a lap, a couple of seconds less than a lap. But yeah, he's helping out his teammate at this point. He knows that he might not get the podium. He knows he might not catch Harrod. The gap to Harrod, though, if I'm honest, here you go, it's only 4 seconds. So that's why he didn't hold up Van Outert very much, because he's on a chase right now, and he wants to get onto that podium. So scrap the idea that he's not going to get one. He is going to chase Pete, but as Dan brought up before, Pete is going a bit longer on fuel, so whether that saves him a stop at the end, we will have to see. Purple Sector says, Chaz, how are you keeping up with the action? I don't know. Yeah, that was very sketchy there from Van Outert. We've seen commitment from him though, and bearing in mind, don't forget that he had a massive accident before with Alexio Lane in the other P1 car, the Fiercely Forward car, and he is just still flying up there. And if he manages to salvage a podium, it's just awesome. We've been asked to see how Derek de Boer is doing. He's recovered from his earlier spins. Doesn't look like he's had too much of an issue. We do have to cut away though, because Kobe Clays, whatever his surname is, has apparently crashed. Not sure whether he's just looped it on the brakes or...
Ooh, very deep.
Yeah, I think he broke a little bit harder there. You know, he broke where he normally would, and then just tapped on the brakes again, just to make sure he didn't go back into the GT4 car. We did have a comment a moment ago. Dan McCauley says, Chaz, cover your ears, but this has to be one of the best commentary pairings I've heard on iRacing in a long time. Cheers for putting these together, Ian from Sim Racers World. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
Much appreciated, mate. And yeah, CT Cam says, keeping up excellently. Fantastic commentary, guys. Thank you, everybody. We do hope you're enjoying this, and fingers crossed we do it again. Jack and I do commentate on Sim Racers World TV very often. I do a couple of broadcasts a week. Jack, you've just taken on the Sunday Drivers MX5 League, haven't you, as well?
I have indeed, and obviously sort of made my debut a couple of weeks back with VLN, having never done it before, and I'm hooked. I'm hooked. I couldn't have been more welcome here at SRW with all the opportunities they provide, whether that be for a driver, a commentator, a spectator, anything. So they really are the place to be at the moment in terms of league racing. So feel free to look into it. Obviously, we've got websites, Discords, everything like that, regular streams. And yeah, I'm more than happy to keep on working with SRW because yeah, I can't stress enough how good it is and how welcome everybody's made me, including you, mate.
Yeah, it certainly is fantastic to have you on board, mate. And don't forget, for anyone that is watching and enjoying it, we have a fantastic event coming up on Sunday for you, the virtual Bell Car event, where we'll be doing 3 different races in one broadcast over about a 5 or 6 hour period from Zolder. So that's going to be an incredible one. We've got a TCR race, I believe a Formula 3 race, and then the virtual Bell Car multi-class as well. So do tune in on Sunday. Make sure you follow Sim Racers World on Facebook as well, and you'll see any details on there. Sim Racers World TV, that is, the Facebook page. Keep an eye out for it, and we'll hopefully see you there on Sunday. At the moment, though, Jack, just looking up and down the order, this gap between Pete Harrod and Job van Houten is getting a lot smaller. Job van Houten just there, coming out the final corner. So are we going to see a move very soon, do you reckon?
I think so, definitely. With only 20 minutes of the race to go, I don't know where that previous half an hour has gone. It feels like 2 minutes ago you were saying we're only halfway through the race. But he's definitely, he can, if I put my teeth in, he can definitely see him. And he's sort of, it's going to be traffic, I think, is going to be sort of the dying factor. If he gets held up by traffic, well, I don't think Job wants to get held up by traffic after throwing it around the outside at Aintree. You've got to have rather large man fruits to do that, and well, he evidently does. And right round the outside again at Brooklands, Job van Houten really does know what to do in this LMP1 car, doesn't he?
Oh, he certainly does. He certainly does, and he's got to be worried that those giant man fruits of his aren't upsetting the bias and the weight distribution in that thing, because he is on a mission round here at the moment. Bart Daleman just coming out of the pit lane, and Chris Walsh has just gone through. For anyone that missed it earlier, by the way, Chris Walsh is part of the US bobsled team, so he knows what he's doing when it comes to fast machinery. Whether it's got 4 people pushing it or a 4-pot engine pushing it, he certainly knows how to handle it, and he's doing a good job at the moment. 1 minute and 22 seconds ahead of him, though, is Juan Manuel Santabaya, I'll get his name right, and he's actually managed to drive around that Strasser Motorsports GTC car there, Jack, so he's changed his ways.
Yeah, it's we've not seen that from him before, but he definitely made the most of the downforce he had on offer, and did. I'm sure he kept well clear this time. So great job from Juan. Right, I'll try this again. Juan Manuel. There we go. So obviously he's paid. Well, I'm not going to say paid for what he's done. He's gone through, done a slightly deviated lap of the Silverstone circuit after going through the pit lane. And he's back out on track pushing hard. Still in P5 at the moment, but he definitely won't be catching up on Outert ahead, because he's making inroads on Pete Harrod. The gap is still about 2.5 seconds. They're not getting as close as he was before, but with 20 minutes to go, obviously that is only going to get closer. I say that as it's now gone right the way down to 2 seconds, so Job van Outert really doing well. This is Kieran Harrison. He's just been leading it from the front. I can't really say much more about it. We haven't seen him much on the stream because he's just kept his nose clean, and the closest car to him that he's battling for position is Jordan Weeks behind, 41 seconds. And what is quite funny is the second closest car to him is a GTE car ahead. So the first, the closest car is his teammate behind, and the second closest car is Mark Phillips for the Strasser Motorsport GTE team is only 50 seconds up the road.
It's crazy to see that they're actually that close to together, to be honest. Just shows how much of a good job that they can do in these GTC cars. Mark, like you say, racing for Strasser Motorsport. He taken over from Sharkey, who was racing earlier. I'm not sure whether he's a relative of the Robot Wars judge, Noel Sharkey, but I'll leave that for anyone else to figure out how much of a nerdy reference that is. Thank you for the comments in the chat as well. Reggie Root says, if you did not know, you would have thought this was real, as is the commentary. So spot on, well done you two. Thank you very much, Reggie. And also more information on Chris Walsh has come in. Chris Walsh is actually an American Tactical Forces serviceman. So we thank you for your service, Chris Walsh. And your service to bobsledding as well, of course, and now sim racing. So multi-talented gentleman here, Jack.
Definitely. He's when like people say, oh, we've been there and done that, sometimes they don't mean it. If you ask Chris, he's been there and he's done it by the sounds of it. He's done everything. He's got his fingers in many pies. He's an Olympian. He's in, obviously, in theory, special forces. So he's definitely doing everything he wants to do. He's not like knows an answer for him. He just sort of, he goes, no, I'm going to do it, and just sort of gets his head down and does it. And he's been not necessarily towards the top end of the field, but he's kept his nose clean for the most part. He's had a couple of little incidents where the tail has stepped free, but he's got it back going again, and he's lapping pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's doing a cracking job of it. One thing I do want to bring our attention to here, and everybody on stream's attention, this is Bram Van Putten, who's leading the GTE class. And if we go to this camera angle, there, oh, there's a car off. There is Felix Luding, and that was Weeks. Weeks in second place in class. Now that gap is bigger than 41 seconds, and he's losing time very quickly. That's actually Lewis Ward going past him there for position. Lewis Ward ruins the 1-2 for HM Engineering. Well, it's not Lewis, is it? Jordan Weeks ruined it for himself. He's managed to go off circuit and come back on. Fingers crossed he can make it back through Maggots and Beckett's, though. And at the top of the broadcast, okay, wow. So never mind Jordan Weeks ruining that. I will eat my words with a massive slice of humble pie, because that was Joop van Uitert there. Van Uitert really coming flying through. Oh, I don't think... No, he wouldn't have seen him because of the GTE car behind. And Van Uitert really got away with that as well, to be honest. And he did slow down for a moment, and then he gets back going again. I think he realised how much time he would have lost from that, but maybe that will come under some sort of review. And Weeks has crashed again, apparently. He gets to the end of the straight. Don't tell me this LMP1 car is going to hit him as well. Oh, something's wrong with that left rear.
Yeah.
Something is really wrong. That's gone so downhill very quickly. They've had a nightmare of the GTC cars with the P1s. That's such a shame. Such a shame to see. And Felix Luding is now 4.2 seconds off Bram Van Putten, but they are getting closer and closer together. And that is under review, as Ian has confirmed. So we'll see just how that happens. Ethan Dean has apparently just become my best friend, because he said that, we're not going to go too deep into this, but Hypnodisc was the greatest robot ever on Robot Wars, and I have a piece from it. So he's either slightly jealous or really wants to be my friend. This is Hawkins, just with Hartog coming out of the final corner, racing as if it's a sprint race, and this is lap 1, Jack.
I think I wasn't expecting to see these two guys together, but I think Hartog had a slight incident on the lap prior, but he's got back going again, and that isn't stopping him. Slight little bits of corrective oversteer to keep it pointing the right way. There is a Nomad car behind. Oh, snaps one way, snaps the other in a bit of overcorrection. Does he avoid the wall? Wow, great driving from Loic. He knew exactly what he needed to do. Gave the throttle a nice kick. Got the rear rotated. That's a very questionable rejoin, but he knew exactly what he needed to do. Put his foot to the floor, rotated the car that extra little bit, and avoided the wall. That really is that experience shining through. He's now got back past Seb Hawkins, and will be pointing his nose towards Jordan McLean, who is only 9 seconds up the road.
Well, that's if Seb Hawkins hasn't got anything to do with it. Hawkins just says, no, get out of the way, I'm going to come through again. And Hawkins goes through into 6th position in class. Great job from him there. Nice pressurising manoeuvre. Brian Holmes behind these guys has gone off and given himself what has become a bit of a theme of this race, the right downforce advantage on that car with the dipped wing. Oh, apparently Bart Delman just went off the circuit for a moment there out of Stowe. He's lighting up my timing screen. We go back to Loic Hartog and Sebastian Hawkins, though, because this is a great battle to watch. These GTE cars sound great, look great, and they go great as well, especially when they're in the hands of drivers as good as these pair.
Yeah, definitely. These guys know exactly what they need to do, and obviously Loicum might just be on my screen, but that front right or the front right wing is looking slightly bent upwards, maybe getting towards the bonnet part of the or maybe the bonnet panel as well. It's got a slight crease in it. This is Jordan Weeks once again getting caught out, coming out of Chapel Curve. Not 100% sure what happened there.
I bet he had a heart attack when the other LMP1 car went past again. Not more contact with a P1 in Maggots and Beckett's. That was Pete Harrod. Pete going around the outside. Jordan ran wide and made contact with him. And just so you've got an idea of how scary this would be in a GTC car, watch the speed of this P1. You can think about how little time you've got to react when you're racing around. Oh, apparently my mate Simon Underhill has had an incident, I'm afraid. Simon going into turn 1.
GT4, has he?
We've not seen much contact between two classes in this race so far. Yes, he has. Oh no, that was so unfortunate. That was Derek de Boer. So we go on board with Derek. Derek goes straight on. Doesn't know anything about the incident going on behind him, and suddenly there's a GTE in your door. What a frightening accident there for Derek de Boer. He's going to be having a nightmare. He's not had the smoothest of races, but that really takes the cake. And this is Jeroen Kweekel, by the way, who's just on a purple Sector 1, about to lap Pete Harrod, who is in 3rd place. That's just how fast this G-Drive car has been all race. They've only got 14 seconds over Alexio Lane, though, but it's just been a hell of a performance, hasn't it, Jack? And with only just over 10 minutes of the race to go, where is the time gone?
I don't know. It's going way too quickly. I think we've been enjoying it so much, it just seems to go by as about as quick as an LMP1 car does. So literally, Jeroen Kweekel, he was handed a car in an absolutely amazing position, kept it clean, and he's now just going even quicker than pretty much anybody else on circuit. So a great job from Jeroen Kweekel. Alexio Lane still has the fastest lap overall, but it doesn't seem like that is going to play that greatly into his hands. 13 seconds. He is gaining, actually, is Alexio Lane. So we'll keep an eye on what he is doing. This is Tom Methrall going through, completing another lap of the Silverstone circuit, throwing it through Abbey, keeping it on the road. He is now P3 in class. So
he's doing a good job. Doing a very good job. He was actually, I was made aware that him and Steve Clays were quite close together earlier, but it seems that Steve has dropped off a little bit now. It's actually close between Bradley Burns, who is making his way back up here through the GTC traffic. It's not been a smooth debut for Max and Bradley in the Year 1 Racing GTE car, unfortunately. Struggling with setup, it seems, because it's been over-rotating on the brakes quite a lot, but that was for position there on Josh Cam in the Strasser Motorsports car. We're going to go back to the GT4 field. Oh, as we see the leader have a right moment there. That's Norbert Leitner, the Hungarian driver. Still a HM Engineering 1-2 in that class, actually, Jack. So they're doing a really, really good job here. And it seems like quite a comprehensive performance that they may get the win here, providing something serious doesn't happen, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope that these two guys don't follow the same fate as their GTC teammate of Jordan Weeks, but it is, like you said, a HM Engineering 1-2 in the GT4 class at the moment. The gap behind from Maxime Ramstein is 30 seconds to the G-Drive Racing Exima GT4 car in P3. So these two guys pretty much have just held it out front for the entire race. I don't think I can remember a point in the race where these two weren't together.
No, you're right. It's been very, very flawless so far from these guys. Just a quick note as well. This may catch a couple of people off guard, but Race Direction has decided no further action on. Oh, there's a car around in the background. Sorry, that just caught me there. That was Kobe Class, whatever you want to call him, and he's actually gone back to the pits. Okay. But no further action on Van Outer. Oh, is the GTE just going to catch him? No, he's over-rotated it himself. He flashes the lights to see if he can save it. I love that. I absolutely love that. He thinks, oh, it's going around, what should we do? Hit the flashlight button, smash it. And yeah, he goes straight back to the pits then. So, a bit of a strange one there. Loic Hartog goes into the pits here, so he's going to drop down a little bit with only a few minutes of the race to go. I did notice as well, actually, we were looking at Kieran Harrison, who seems to know when he's on the broadcast, because as soon as we looked at him, he started flashing his lights. So we'll see whether he does it again, because I'm pretty sure he must have somebody saying, you're on the broadcast, press the button, do the thing. But he's been probably one of the standout drivers for me in this one. Nearly a minute ahead of Lewis Ward in the Meraki car. And we'll obviously go through at the end, Jack, and pick our sort of drivers of the day. I mean, Jeroen Kweekel and Martin van Loozenhout have been amazing. Just looking at Spencer Pumpelly, who's gone wide there. He's going to catch the grass, and the car's going to go around. Stops it from coming back on the track, though, which is a good effort. And then he comes back on with, that's Ollie Slade there, trying to navigate through Luffield. 3 wide eventually, and the 3 cars sort of overlap one another. But, yeah, just going back to Kieran Harrison. Amazing drive so far, mate. He's been untouchable. There's been a couple of guys in the field, though, that really would deserve sort of driver of the day from us, though, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. He's been dominating drives up and down the field. And we've just seen in the background there, Kobe Klass getting once again back out on circuit after that rather odd incident. After flashing his lights, I don't know whether it was in frustration or just a blind effort to keep the car pointing the right rate, but he's back out. So this is Gregory Ranks now doing everything he can, including using all the track and that little bit extra through cops to see what he can do about negotiating Josh Cam ahead. So this is for P22 overall.
Whoa.
And P5 in class. He's using every single piece of the track while letting some LMP1 traffic go through. Coming out, wow, those tyres are rather cooked. I think with 5 minutes to go, he's only going to drop back unless Greg can find something that he hasn't used before. He just seems to be dropping back now. It looks like he's got to that stage in the race where the tyres are really just starting to drop out of touch.
I was just about to say, you don't have to adjust your TV sets, everybody. That is genuinely what that looks like. It's genuinely the colour scheme inside that Sim Racers World car. You cannot mistake it. Jordan McGlone has passed Simon Underhill, which has just got a bit of an uproar in the chat. He's done it down the straight in towards Stowe, onto the brakes. Jordan McGlone goes through. PJ is on for a podium at the moment in GTE as well. PJ Claessens. Don't know what it is with the Belgians and having the word Clay in their name all spelt differently. But yeah, Jordan McGlone now is into 4th in class. Simon Underhill is not going to take it lying down, though. He's not going to let him get away with it easily. There were some great battles, though, in the GTC class that we just saw, but I do just want to go back on board with Gregory Franks and just show you, look how bright the interior of this car is. You certainly know it's a Sim Racers World car, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, 100%. All the TCR cars look pretty much exactly the same, so yeah, it's. I love that they've kept the attention to detail, left a bit of dashboard in there just to give it a bit of that homely effect. But I'm sure that isn't even in the mind of Gregory Franks at this point. He's just going to keep on pushing forward, seeing what he can do about managing fuel, managing tyres, because this late into the race, the last thing you want is some sort of mechanical issue, and you can tell he's being extra cautious. There's a bit of GT4 traffic is trying to overtake him. I think that was possibly Maxime Ramstein. But that someone has had an engine failure. Who was that?
Silverstone. I think Liam Silverstone's had the issue. He has. And wow, that's a very, very poorly little Porsche. And he's going to be needing an energy drink after this one. Oh, please don't be a P1. Please not P1. Oh, wow. Ooh. Okay. Now, there's a word for that in iRacing, which I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm not going to bring it up. But that's a real shame, that is, because if we just play that back in slow motion, this isn't just to highlight the issue, but just to show that there wasn't really any fault here by any of them. There's a bit of a tap behind, you know, between the two of them. And look at that. The distance and the difference between the two cars. Real shame to see it, but it happens, you know. It happens in motorsport. We do have to just refresh that, sorry. But that was the battle between some of the P1 cars. That was Alexio Lane.
Yeah.
And I believe it was Van Outert. Van Outert's just coming out of the pit lane as well, by the way. But two of the cars that are very close are actually Chris Walsh and Bart Delman. That is for position. So Bart is just chasing him down now. 1.1 seconds behind, and still the closest battle on track at the moment is Simon Underhill and Jordan McGlone, the Nomad Sim Racing car and the Team Simpac Racing, which, oh, why not? Let's go on board with him. Let's have a little check-in on Murray, see how Murray's doing, just for anyone that can't see. He's up in the top right of your screen on the windscreen banner, and then if we just hide the timing tower for a sec, there's the other one, just poking his head up, sneaking in the corner. And wow, there's another P1 going through. That is Chris Walsh. You should see any second now Bart Delman come through as well. Unless we have an incident, of course, but let's hope we don't. As Alexio Lane comes in the pit lane. Alexio pit lane.
Oh, that's damage on his
I think that may be from the incident with Silverstone a moment ago, you know, because I think he got a tap in the rear. If we just go on Alexio Lane's car, Yeah, he gets a hit there. And I think that's what caused the issue. And that's what meant that he's obviously hit Liam Silverstone out of the way. Brian Holmes comes in the pits in the Excite car in GTE. Leading that class at the moment, of course, is number 1, Bram Van Putten. I said that they were asking for the big things by putting a number 1 on the car, but they've lived up to it so far, haven't they, Jack?
Yeah, 100%. We've said it so many times, and we're going to say it again. Dominating drive. He's led it from the front, and he's just done everything he needs to. He doesn't have his teammate behind him anymore. Well, of course he doesn't, because he's not. He doesn't have it. He does have a teammate. It's Loic, but obviously Loic has been caught up in a couple of unfortunate incidents. So he's now chasing down Seb Hawkins. We ride on board with Chris Walsh just to get a sense of the speed of these LMP1 cars going down the Wellington Straight and working their way through Brooklands. Very wide line from Chris there. So whether he's coming under pressure from a car behind, which he isn't, maybe he's just adventuring, seeing what different lines he can take around the Silverstone circuit, but he's keeping it going. He's pretty much secured P6 at the moment. I've got a note on the timing tower. Apparently Bart Daleman is out. I very much doubt it. But this almost must be the last lap of the race, Chaz.
Yeah, Bart Daleman is showing us out of the race at the moment, though. It is correct. He's not anywhere to be seen by the look of it. But yeah, Jeroen Kweekel then for G-Drive Racing Exemia LMP1 number 1, except it's number 31. Is doing an absolutely amazing job, and him and his teammate Martin van Loozenhoorn have been pretty untouchable throughout this race. Pretty untouchable. They just have been. They just have been untouchable in this race. It's been incredible. And, I mean, the speed difference, it's been the main talking point for us. But, to be honest, the driving standards have been great. We've not seen too much contact between different classes. It's always going to be hard around here. It's always going to happen. It's part of racing. And, well, G-Drive came into it and they did the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. They were amazing there, but they didn't quite get the win because of Pete Harrod. And this time, Jack, it looks like they're going to take it here, and very deservingly so.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a crazy drive from both the guys that were behind the wheel of that number 31 car. It doesn't look like Job van Alter is happy about it, though, having just set a purple time of 1 minute 40.371 with... as the clock literally just ticks over the 2-hour mark, this late into the race, he's clearly just gone, yeah, you know what, I've got plenty of hybrid left, I'm going to use it. But that comes second to none in terms of Jeroen Kweekel. He comes across the line and wins the PorscheSport 2 hours of Silverstone with Sim Racers World. So an absolutely amazing drive from Jeroen Kweekel, and well done to both of the guys that piloted that car. We'll go back to Alexio Lane to see what he can do about bringing the car across the line.
We have to look. Bram Van Putten is just about to win the GTE class, actually. So G-Drive take the win in both classes, and that was the gap. Felix Luding was literally that close. He gives him a kiss on the rear as well to say bye. Oh, he's completely rolled the car. He's given up. He's given up for the evening. And here is your GTC class winner now. Kieran Harrison, HM Engineering 969. What a drive. 1 minute and 5 seconds ahead of Lewis Ward. Alexio Lane is crossing the line in just a moment for second place in LMP1, and a very, very good drive from him as well. A few little incidents here and there, but what a brilliant, brilliant performance. Pete Harrod takes third for CQR Club on a single-handed drive as well. Great, great effort there. And Job van Outer, fastest lap of the race, right at the end, as Jack said. Amazing to see. Where is Norbert Leitner? He's actually already crossed the line. The sneaky little guy has gone through. But it's a 1-2 for HM Engineering in the GT4 class as well. So very, very comprehensive there, actually, Jack. We've got 2 HM Engineering wins and 2 G-Drive wins. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We did say at the start and sort of throughout the race we dotted it in that all of the teammates have been running very similar performances, leading classes, well, basically filling a podium in most classes, and including the class with Kobe class and there was another class in there as well. I can't keep up with all these classes we've got in terms of Steve Clays. There we go. So plenty of classes, Clays and other classes. But yeah, it's been an absolutely great drive from literally everybody, whether they finished or whether they didn't. They've definitely. It doesn't matter. Literally, Esme Hawkey, she didn't get very far, admittedly, but she took part, and that's all that counts. It was great to see her out on track in practice as well to showcase that amazing livery. Jeroen Kweekel crossing the line. Is this? Yeah, Jeroen Kweekel crossing the line once again.
Carried on for a laugh.
I think he's chasing down his G-Drive teammate in the GT4, which is great to see. Plenty of photos to be taken, I think, with those guys. yeah, it's just great to see that. It's great to see that so many people took part and so many people enjoyed it, Chaz.
Yeah, it was an awesome event. Very well done to our class winners. Very, very pleased for all of you. It's amazing to see. What we'll do is just go through class by class then on the results for you. Just see what we can get. So there is your LMP1 class. G-Drive Racing Eximia LMP1. Take it from Fiercely Forward and CQR Club round out your podium. We then have G-Drive Racing Eximia LMP1 2 in 4th place, and of course the fastest lap of the race at the end by Job van Houten there. Incredible performance from him. Banzu RX Flow LMP1 finishing 5th with Soul Performance Racing. Chris Walsh, the American serviceman and US bobsled team guy, athlete, whatever you want to say. He finishes 6th single-handedly as well, just ahead of Bart Daleman, who wasn't actually classed in the end, unfortunately. But we can see in the background there some lovely shots for the G-Drive guys, maybe just giving each other a bit of a kiss out the window. And we go to the GTE class now, which Jack will run you through.
Yeah, so a great drive from the number 1 G-Drive Racing Eximia GTE Porsche. Well, obviously it's Porsche, funnily enough. So a great drive from those guys, piloted by Bram van Putten, bringing it across the line. Followed by Felix Lunding. So a very, very convincing comeback drive from the Sim RC guys. So great job to all of those guys who managed to cross the line in P2. Then followed by the number 27 Meraki Racing Machine, and followed by Team Simpact and Nomad Sim Racing. Then we get to Abruzzi Esports Orange, the other G-Drive Racing Eximia machine number 2. Well, number 19, but in theory number 2. And then the Strasser Motorsport machine, who crossed the line in the hands of Mark Phillips, was P8 in class. And then we get into GTCs already.
Well, yeah, apparently some of them did finish ahead of some of the GTE cars. Team Maxwell Root, of course, was not quite the sportsman we expected at the start of the race. Flying away from the field, did get disqualified. It's probably one of the quickest race disqualifications we've seen. And then Sim Racers World does come up at the bottom. That is just Ian Roots. He is our race director. We'll go then to the GTC class, and these fantastic little Porsche Cup cars really gave us some good battles. However, there was no such worries at the front for the HM Engineering team. Kieran Harrison doing an incredible job in the 969 car, winning by a minute over Meraki Racing 97 and Meraki Racing 117. So both of their cars on the podium. They have done a great job there. G-Drive finished in 4th in the number 13 car, with Strasser Motorsports in 5th and Sim Racers World Esports in 6th. Then it was HM Engineering 959. Didn't quite go the way of Jordan Weeks, unfortunately, tonight. Bit of a very tough race for him with some of the contact that he had, and, you know, spins here and there, twice getting hit by LMP1 cars in the Maggots and Beckett section. So behind him was DXX Pro Assist, number 21, with SRW Buell Brothers not having the smoothest of races, and then Esme Hawkey showing as the privateer, and then the XR-iRacing Porsche as well was Adam McNally, who just joined in the practice session and did not make the race. And Jack, I'll hand it over to you for the final class, the GT4s.
Thank you very much, Chaz. So HM Engineering 1-2 in the GT4 class. The number 719 machine crossed the line 33 seconds ahead of its number 729 counterpart. So a great drive from both the HM Engineering guys. Then get to the G-Drive Racing Eximia GT4 car, piloted by, who was that? That was Ingmar Andersen, crossing the line in P3, so rounding out the podium in the GT4 class. Then get to Paddock Motorsport with Fury Sim Sports, piloted by Martin Plowman. Then to Ollie Slade, racing the Fiercely Forward machine. Then Team Spencer Bumpley, who had a couple of off-track excursions, but kept it pointing the right way and managed to cross the line in P6. Then Excite iRacing Orange, Team Derek DeBoer, who we also saw have very similar excursions to Spencer Bumpley, but once again he did cross the line, so great job from him. Then Fiercely Forward number 51, piloted by Louis Hanker, with that unfortunate incident on the start-finish straight. And then we get to Sim Racers World Pro, who I think...
It's Herber, isn't it? He was one of the race directors. Well, an amazing race. Thank you very much, Jack, for joining me on the comms. We'll actually have a quick chat with a couple of these guys. And, well, who better to have a chat with than one of the drivers in the eventual race-winning car? Martin van Loosenhoorn joins us in the chat. Martin, how are we doing, mate? Good to see you.
Hello, guys. Good to see you as well.
I bet you're absolutely over the moon with that one, mate. It was a fantastic, fantastic race for you. It couldn't really have gone much better, could it?
No, it was definitely, I think it was, we had a dream start with qualifying. We managed to get a decent lap in without having lots of troubles with traffic. So that puts us on pole. And then I managed to get a proper gap over P2. So it was, I just wanted that because Jeroen was, getting comfortable with the car. He had the time for that. And then he could also manage to gap. So definitely an awesome race.
Well, it was good to see you run away with it. I mean, after Le Mans, which wasn't so easy for you guys with who I imagine was quite a pesky competitor, Pete Harrod, doing a single-handed drive against you, it was probably quite relieving to see that he wasn't on so much of a charge this time.
Definitely, but we also had a lot less troubles this race than we had at Le Mans. We had damage at Le Mans, so we had to pit, and then I think we also had to do an extra splash and dash. So we lost a lot of time there, I think more than a minute overall. So over here, at this race we didn't make too much mistakes. So I think managing the mistakes is also a key to win.
We've just caught a bit of footage there of you. Well, it was Jeroen Kweekel when he was in the car at the time, going around the outside of one of the GTC cars at Magnussen Beckett's on the grass, and it was certainly a focusing moment. In terms of getting through the traffic, did you find it was quite difficult around Silverstone, or is it something that you sort of just become acclimatized to in driving these P1 cars?
Well, yeah, we usually don't drive these cars too often in the regular iRacing series, but the difference between GT4 and LMP1 was just insane. It felt like the cars were just not moving, the GT4 cars. So in the beginning was really a handful to get used to be managing the traffic. And further in the stint, I was getting all the standard placers to go around the outside of certain corners and getting used to all the traffic management. So yeah, it was good in the end.
It seemed like quite an exciting thing to be part of, but well done on the win, mate. It was great to see you get it, and obviously, I mean, I've been following you on sim racing for quite a while with the insane pace that you have. It's good to see it translates well in the Porsche. Anybody that you want to give a shout out to before you go today, Martin?
I would like to thank you guys for covering this series. I'd like to thank Porsche as well, PorscheSport events, Ian Roots and his crew for setting this whole event up. I would also like to thank G-Drive Racing, our new team and partnership. And Jeroen Kweekel for being an awesome driver this race.
Brilliant stuff. Well, very well done, Martin. Great to see, and hopefully I'll speak to you again very soon, mate.
Definitely. See you guys.
Cheers. Martin van Loozenhoord there, and someone else that is about to have a chat with us, Jack. I'll bring him in. It's Job van Outert, and what I'll do for you, mate, I'll leave you in the very capable hands of my co-commentator, Jack Werrell, who will run through a couple of questions with you.
Okay. Thank you. So, Job, it was, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Absolutely amazing race. Well done. Obviously, there was getting towards the closing stages of the race. There was a podium on the cards. Did you have that in the back of your mind, or were you just focusing on churning out the laps and seeing what you could do?
No, I knew more than you. I knew that there was no podium anymore because I needed a splash for 2 laps. So, in that way, my pit stop in the end was always needed there.
Was that something? At what point in the race did you sort of decide that that was the case, or did you even know that before the race?
Oh no! At the moment when I got hit off by in the first stint, and I had to stop early, and I was basically out of sync there for the rest of the race.
Yeah, we did ask this question to your teammate Loozenhoord. How did you sort of deal with the traffic? Did you find it particularly difficult to get through and negotiate it, or was it sort of one of those things that once you've done it a couple of laps, you sort of better compensate for what the traffic's going to do?
The good thing is with LMP1 you're so fast that you can easily go around the outside of someone in the corner, or if you break into in a fast corner, we are basically side by side for a very small amount of time. That basically makes it for us quite all right, actually. Like, it's a standing point that we have to pass around and not a moving point, because the speeds are so different. And you could see as well in Beckett's we can basically take whatever line we want around the traffic.
Yeah, we did see that a hell of a lot on the stream. Like, you knew what the traffic was going to do, and as long as you predicted it, you could pick a line, and 90% of the time it was around the outside. Speaking of going around the outside, a lot of overtaking in the opening stages of the race. Was that something you were expecting, or were you just planning on keeping it clean and sitting behind someone, or were you just focusing on sort of aggression, getting the moves done, and then focus towards the end of the race?
Well, in the beginning of my stint, in the end, you needed to have the aggression, especially in the first part when you get to a train. If you get stuck behind it, Maarten was basically then driving away, so I had to clip close to him, and that basically makes it that you need to take some risks. And yeah, fights, they have to happen. You want to stay in front. Track position is key, especially with all the other traffic around you. You want to stay ahead, so you have a bit of margin then.
Yeah, definitely. Quickly, before I let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out on the stream?
I don't know. I want to thank my dog for being a good dog.
That's one of the best shout-outs I've ever heard. Fair play.
Yeah, I don't normally do a lot of shout-outs, but I like my dog. He's a good dog.
Well, that's going to go down in history, Job.
You're welcome.
Just a quick well done from me on the race, mate. You were an absolute sensation to watch. Fastest lap of the race right near the end as well. Shame the result didn't come through with the podium in the end, mate, but honestly, very well done. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's not bad. Like, I had a lot of fun for my first LMP1 race. I never drove these cars before, so it was quite cool.
What? I didn't even realise that. Fair play. That makes it even better then, to be fair. That's amazing. Well, very well done, mate. And
thank you very much.
Fingers crossed we'll be commentating on you again very soon.
Definitely.
Jobbing out there, Jack. An absolute sensation. Like he says, first time in these cars as well. What an amazing performance that was to get fastest lap as well. That's
just crazy. It just shows that it's not necessarily what you know about the car, it's how you drive it. Even if it's your first time, you either get it straight away or it takes a little bit of time, and he clearly got it straight away. And I can't get over he thanked his dog. It's great. His dog owes him a thank you. He's just been shouted out on Sim Racers World TV, so better be saying thank you.
It's going to go down as one of the best shout-outs we've had. I've just brought in another driver as well, who we're going to do a quick interview with. Somebody who didn't quite have the end of the race that he was hoping for. Jordan Weeks. Jordan joins us. How are you doing, mate?
Hello, I'm very good.
It didn't seem like a very smooth race at the end there. Just talk us through what was going through your mind. I know it may be a bit of a painful experience, but we'd just like to know the ins and outs of what goes through a driver's mind when these things are going on.
Considering it's just a fun event, I didn't really take it personally at all. If it was a serious race that I'm after in the championship, then obviously I would be angry.
Yeah.
However, it's just a fun event, so I'm just enjoying myself.
Well, it's good to know you've got the positive mindset for you, mate. It was a hell of a performance up to that point, though. I mean, you HM Engineering guys have had a really good night, haven't you?
Yeah, we just literally used one of our older setups from the endurance. So we just used that as our base. Done a few laps, and we thought, yeah,
Thought that'll do, and we'll get it around. How did you find, I know that it may be a sore point again, but with the traffic of the 919s, and obviously even as the GTC class, having the slower GT4s to negotiate, did you find it was a bit more tricky because of that, or was it something that you got used to quite quickly?
So with GTE Cup and GT4, I would have said it was perfectly fine. However, the 919, oh my god, that's just, they come out of nowhere.
Yeah, they really are like rockets, aren't they?
Yeah. And yeah, like I just need to have a little chat with Job. You know? Literally, you know, it's just like, what? Where the hell did he come?
Well, we were thinking that, you know, because when we went on board to see how it looked from his view, and there was a GTE car right behind you, so in that sort of line of sight as you go through Maggots and Beckett, so we don't think that you would have seen him, and obviously he probably wouldn't have seen you as well, to be honest. So it's a shame that it happened, but like you say, they do come out of nowhere, don't they?
Yeah. It's what happens when you have so much more downforce and
Yeah, they are very scary indeed. Well, well done anyway there, Jordan. It was great to watch you and, of course, your teammates. I'm sure you'll all be happy in the camp. Just before I let you go, mate, is there anybody you would like to give a shout-out to?
yeah, shout out to everyone that's done this race, you know. It was pretty fun, despite being lonely at times, but yeah.
Fair play, mate. Well, thank you very much for jumping in, Jordan. Well done on your results, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
See you guys.
Jordan Weeks there of HM Engineering, and just before we round out, not so much to have drivers in the booth with us, but we bring in Ian Roots of Sim Racers World and Luke Holroyd of PorscheSport. Guys, welcome to the booth.
Good evening.
Thank you. And, well, what do you reckon then, Ian? I'll start with you, mate. Pretty mega event, really, this evening, wasn't it?
If you'd have put it this way, if you'd have told me a week ago I was going to put on an event like this, I'd have told in less than a week, I'd have told you it was absolutely mad. But with Luke's help and assistance and on-the-job training, between the pair of us, we've managed to shake 50 drivers out of their beds and out of their pits and out of their lockdown and onto the track at Silverstone, and it's been an absolutely fantastic event. It really has been an event. Even though I was in race direction and I was busy at times, the racing on track yet again is the winner. You know, it wins every time.
Well, it was amazing to watch, mate. We've really enjoyed it up in the booth. What do you reckon of the event as a whole then, Josh? Josh, sorry, I was looking at another name on the time screen here. I'm really sorry. Luke, sorry, mate. As someone sort of obviously coming into watching sim racing, I'm not sure if it is your first time directly in sim racing, but what did you make of the event as a whole with everybody that was involved?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, probably echoing what Ian said. It's been a learning curve for me and the team at PorscheSport, but brilliant. You know, I'm a big fan of motorsport and sim racing. Myself, only just getting into it, but yeah, it was brilliant. You know, we debated this for quite a few weeks, and as Ian said, we managed to pull it off in 5 days, which is an achievement. And big thanks to Ian on that and you guys for helping with everything. And yeah, just to see them 4 classes of Porsches going round for 2 hours in Silverstone was a sight to see, even if it was just virtually. Very good race indeed.
Yeah, it's like you say, even though it is virtually, it's just the fact of how close they get it to the real thing. You know, it still does really beg a belief sometimes that, you know, it can be organised so well. I mean, any words from you as well, Jack, just for these guys?
Not really. You've pretty much covered all my bases. Just thank you so much for doing it. It's been an absolute pleasure. We weren't bored at any point, and it's just I can't wait to do more. Do you think that would be something you'd consider? Let's go with.
I think from a PorscheSport point of view, yeah, definitely. You know, we're at this time with lockdown where everyone's kind of at home. You know, motorsport fans, you know, might not have gone into sim racing, and hopefully this has shed a bit of light of how entertaining it could be. So if the fans want to see it and the drivers are up for it, we'd happily look at maybe running this as a season or maybe 4 or 5 events throughout the year. I'm sure.
Are you mad?
Yeah, I need to get Ian's approval first.
And there's me sitting here like, deal, go, do it.
No, seriously, it would be a pleasure to work with you in the future, Luke, definitely. But can I just ask one thing? Can you give me more time?
Yes, of course.
This is live negotiation you're listening to, anybody that is still on the stream. But honestly, it's been an incredible event all round. Ian, amazing organisational job as always. Been very keen to get me and Jack in on this after our Le Mans 2.4 hours. Luke, it's been great chatting with you as well. And obviously having your assistance, I mean, even halfway through the race, Luke was still offering me paint files and saying, look, this paint's not working for this car, I'll get it for you and I'll send it to you and you can just put it in. So it's, you know, to get so involved, mate, it's really, really appreciated. Absolutely love it. I'm sure we'll all have another brief little chat in a minute. Just to let you guys go though, Ian, any last words for the stream for everybody?
Yeah, I just want to obviously thank Luke for contacting me. You know, just the partnership is incredible, and if we get the chance to do it again, then you know I won't turn it down. It's been a fantastic evening. It's been a crazy week, but it's been a fantastic evening. The motorsport shines through again. I just want to also thank you guys, obviously Jack and Chaz. The dream team, you know, you guys are absolutely awesome together, and you know the partnership goes from strength to strength, and I hope you stick around for some time together because you make SRW TV what it is. But also really just the viewers, you know, we had some stunning viewing figures tonight. I don't know what the totals are, but you know, we were touching 140 at one point, which doesn't sound many, but to keep people entertained for that long and is absolutely fantastic. But you know, at the end of the day, none of us would be here if it wasn't for those guys behind the wheels at home during this period. So the drivers, you know, the drivers are the ones that make it work. Without those guys, we wouldn't have a show. So really just shout out for the drivers. Thank you very much for getting involved, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back.
Cracking, well said, Ian. Luke, any final words from you, mate?
Yeah, again, just echoing what Ian said. Thank you to you two, first of all, on the comms. Again, brilliant viewers. And Ian, we've worked hard this last week. I'm surprised we're still friends, but we've got there. And the drivers at home as well. Obviously, we had a mixed bag. We've had a few people that are fairly new to sim racing, but might, you know, race in real life. And then we had seasoned sim racers, and it was fairly clean. A few incidents that to be expected. And finally, to Strasser, who helped kind of put this event on with their sponsorship and entered a few cars as well. So thank you to them.
Brilliant stuff. Well said, gentlemen. We'll surely join you in a few minutes for the inevitable debrief. But thank you very much for popping in, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Ian Roots and Luke Holroyd there, just bringing our stream to an end. But another fantastic race under our belts there, Jack. It's been another absolute corker, hasn't it?
Oh, 100%. It's put me in a very similar situation to Le Mans. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, and by the sounds of it, it's on the cards, and it's definitely being thought about. And yeah, it's been an absolutely mega evening for motorsport. We've been busy pretty much all evening, and it's really just I can't put it into words. I've enjoyed it like massive amounts, and obviously, like Ian said, it wouldn't have happened without the drivers. So massive thanks to everybody who took part, and everybody who was in chat and sort of interacted with the stream. It's great to speak to you and hear what you think of what's happening, and obviously thanks to you, Chaz.
Yeah, it's been an absolute belter, and I'll echo what Jack says, of course, to everybody in the stream, everyone on the YouTube chat getting so involved with what was going on. We really do appreciate all of your comments and the fact that you stuck around as well. People on the Facebook page as well, we see you over there on the Strasser Facebook page. Jack's been keeping an eye on your comments there too. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like Ian said, we had over 140 viewers at certain points in there, so we are very grateful for that. Everybody at Sim Racers World TV is very, very pleased with how this has gone on. Jack, it's been a pleasure to work with you again, mate. And don't forget, of course, everybody, we do have the virtual Bell Car event on Sunday afternoon as well. It's going to be another corking event, that one, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, have I got to do that one with you?
You do, I'm afraid. Yeah, it stuck me again.
But yeah, it's going to be an absolutely mega event. It's a full afternoon. Obviously, you've got the Formula 3 series, or the Formula 3 race, and they never. Obviously, I've taken part in the SRW Sim Stickers Formula 3 series, and from a driving point of view, I'm never bored, so I can imagine what it's like on the stream. Obviously, Chaz, you've got experience of that, as well as the TCRs, so that's going to be crazy. And then you pretty much just throw the best corner of iRacing, or each little segment of iRacing. So you've got like a prototype car, a little GT, and on a really like an amazing circuit at Zolder with 4, 5, maybe even 6 classes, just all thrown into one for an endurance race. It's going to be an absolutely amazing day. So please make sure you don't miss that, guys. Like, put it in your diaries. It's going to be an absolutely incredible afternoon of racing.
And make sure you follow the Sim Racers World TV Facebook page. Like any videos that we put up, anything that goes on there. Like this video, subscribe to Sim Racers World TV. Don't forget to follow Strasser as well on Facebook if you haven't already. Jack, thank you very much as always, mate. We'll be back for everybody on Sunday. As for now, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on Sunday. Have a great night.